Chapter 608. There's still no response. What's going on? It's been half a month. Long Ting muttered to herself in a concealed flying device thousands of miles away. There was a trace of anxiety on her face. Half a month. Chun Hao had been in the flaming eye for half a month. On the third day, Long Ting could not help but crush the communication talisman, wanting to ask about Chun Hao's situation. However, Chun Hao had not replied until now. This made her very depressed. However, she did not pay much attention to it at that time. After all, the situation inside the flaming eye protected by the ninefold mystic flame could be very bad. It was also possible that Chun Hao could not split his attention to reply. It was also possible that he had encountered some special situation. However, even after half a month, there was still no sign of recovery. This caused Long Ting to become impatient. Is there a problem? Long Ting frowned and said, "Little wisdom number one, can't you sense Chun Hao's aura?" "I can't sense it. The detection system can't penetrate the ninefold mystic flame seal. I'm also very anxious. Please don't ask me over and over again." "Thank you." Little wisdom number one's mechanical voice was full of humanity. Obviously, Long Ting had asked this question more than once. On the first day, Long Yi went out to train alone. Since this great opportunity was triggered by Chun Hao's cultivation partner, Tantai Lien, even if he was interested, he could only give up. If it was someone else, with his strength, he would definitely give it a try. Since he did not want to waste time, he naturally would not wait in the flying device like Long Ting. It's really strange. It's normal for the ninefold mystic flame to last for 1 or 2 days. However, it's been going on for half a month, and there's still no sign of it fading. Even if it's a reward for the person who activated the great opportunity, isn't it too long? I suspect that something might have happened that I don't understand. Should I go down and take a look? Maybe he's trapped. He hasn't moved for so long. When Long Ting crushed the communication talisman, she could clearly sense Chun Hao's position, which was 10 million miles away. Moreover, every time she sent out a message, Chun Hao had not moved at all. What was going on? Forget it. Let's wait a little longer. Although Long Ting guessed that Chun Hao was trapped, the signal from the communication talisman was still there, proving that Chun Hao's life was not in danger. At this time, it would be bad if she went in and disturbed Chun Hao. Mother of Asterisk Kerr, it's been so long, and the ninefold mysterious fire hasn't disappeared yet. It's fine if it doesn't disappear, but the two phoenixes are still eyeing it covetously. Could it be that this great opportunity is prepared for Guanyu? Guanyu hasn't come out for so long. Impossible. Now that the protection was still there, it meant that no one had obtained the great opportunity yet. Otherwise, everything should have returned to normal. Who cares who gets it? I'm not waiting anymore. There's no hope anyway. Although the crowd did not decrease and was still increasing, most of them were new faces. Some of the weaker cultivators, who were here with the intention of getting some leftovers, had waited for a few days without any results. Furthermore, the protection of the ninefold mystic fire showed no signs of weakening, so they all left one after another. And some cultivators who came from afar joined in the waiting. The experts who came later, such as Zhu Peifeng from the Black Sword sect, who were powerful, all tried to rush in, but they could not break through the Phoenix's terrifying defense line. It was a stalemate. No one knew that, except for the Phoenixes, the vermilion bird, with the help and awakening of the blazing star's spiritual wisdom, had already successfully reconstructed its golden body and joined the Phoenix's protection. However, under the cover of the ninefold mystic fire and the appearance of the vermilion bird and the Phoenixes, Zhu Peifeng and the others who tried to break through later did not realize that it was the vermilion bird that welcomed them, and not the Phoenixes that retreated to the second line to rest. The sixth layer, phew, there's still 15 days left. At this speed, I can't comprehend the ninefold mystic fire at all. I must speed up. In the fiery eye that was 10 million miles deep, Chun Hao's body was surrounded by 3 layers of mystic fire. To have broken through the first 6 layers in 15 days seemed to be very fast. But in fact, Chun Hao had only broken through 2 layers. From a first to the 4th layer, it did not take much time at all. It was the realm that he had comprehended in the first place. The fifth and sixth layers were the results of these 15 days. How could Chun Hao not be anxious? Chi, chi, chi. Chun Hao's mind was activated crazily again in an instant. It almost completely drifted out of his mind and integrated into the sevenfold mystic fire. But in the blink of an eye, another 5 days passed. 5 days. In these 5 days, although Chun Hao tried his best to comprehend, there was no effect at all. The mystery of the sevenfold mystic fire seemed to have reached his limit, and he could no longer comprehend it. F***CK. I don't believe that I can't comprehend you. For 20 consecutive days, even though Chun Hao urgently wanted to use the fastest speed to comprehend it, his mood did not affect his state of mind in the slightest. On the contrary, during the process of comprehension, even if he used all his strength to urge his mind, he still maintained a clear state of mind. He would not do something as stupid as wanting to be hasty and not being able to achieve it. But now, in the face of the sevenfold mysterious flame, there was no progress at all after 5 days. He didn't even grasp the slightest bit of its mysteries, let alone grasp the opportunity to comprehend it. Chun Hao was clear that if he continued to comprehend it like this, he could forget about comprehending the sevenfold mystic fire now, let alone the ninefold mystic fire. This made Chun Hao angry. Since he did not want to exchange feelings with me, then I will do the opposite and comprehend it by force. Anyway, this was not his Tao. In the future, it would be even more impossible for him to focus on the fire attribute. Boom! Powerful soul power suddenly bloomed from Chun Hao's mind and merged with his mind. Oppressing, deterring, suppressing, forcibly comprehending. This guy is trying to comprehend it by force? The spiritual intelligence of the blazing star was shocked when it sensed that Chun Hao had suddenly activated his powerful soul power and merged it with his perception. What's going on? This guy is only at the human celestial stage. He could comprehend the sixfold mystic fire because he had the inheritance of the phoenix and the inheritance of the rosefinch. Whether he could comprehend a higher stage depended on his comprehension ability and fate with the fire attribute. When it sensed that Chun Hao had not made any progress for several consecutive days, the spiritual intelligence of the blazing star was sure that Chun Hao did not have the fate with the fire attribute like Tantai Lien did. Perhaps he would be confined to the sevenfold mystic fire after a month. Although the spiritual intelligence of the blazing star was a little disappointed, it was still within its expectations. But it did not expect that Chun Hao, who was only at the human celestial stage, had to comprehend it by force with his soul power. This was simply a blatant challenge to the dignity of fire. Once the fire attribute, one of the most original 5 elements energy in the world, was irritated, what would the consequences be? Counterattack. Counterattack on the soul. Crazy, crazy. This guy is too arrogant. Does he think he is the supreme of Hongmeng? It's too late. Boom, boom, boom. Seeing the mystic fire barrier that it had condensed suddenly spinning and burning crazily, the spiritual intelligence of the blazing star was dumbfounded. It knew that at this moment, even it could not stop Chun Hao. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, Chun Hao's soul power was burning crazily in the endless mystic fire. However, who had been mentally prepared, was not afraid at all. He also activated his soul power to suppress it crazily, leaving the pain of the burning soul behind him. Streaks of soul power were burned by the sevenfold mystic fire, and streaks of the sevenfold mystic fire were suppressed, destroyed, and dissipated by Chun Hao's soul power. On the other hand, Chun Hao's mind was completely immersed in the process of the sevenfold mystic flame's collapse and dissipation. What he needed to do was to comprehend the profoundness that emanated from it at the moment of its collapse and dissipation. Doing this was like studying a whole thing, but could not find a breakthrough point. Then he used violence to disassemble it, and in the process of disassembling, he could find a breakthrough point. This was completely putting the cart before the horse. For a moment, Chun Hao's soul power and the sevenfold mystic fire were evenly matched, and they were not at a disadvantage. But as time went by, Chun Hao's soul power became weaker and weaker, and the sevenfold mystic fire, which was provoked and provoked, became stronger and stronger with the help of the endless mystic fire energy around it. It's over, it's over. Such a genius kid, and I still thought he could. If I had known this, I would have let him go indirectly. I'm so nosy. He's finished. Wouldn't it be difficult for that little girl to get a great opportunity? How many years do I have to wait for another one? Sensing the scene in front of it, the spiritual intelligence of the blazing star was depressed and regretted its greed. As the saying went, the higher the expectation, the greater the disappointment. This was the best description of its current mood. Because of its love for talents, it hoped that Chun Hao and his cultivation partner could get the greatest improvement in the fire property from this great opportunity. Then, in the future, the stronger Chun Hao and Tantai Lien were, especially in the fire property, the more benefits the blazing star and its spiritual intelligence could get. This was no different from the luck of humans. Originally, it thought that Chun Hao and Tantai Lien had hope, but now it was ruined by Chun Hao's arrogance. Break for me. Boom. Rumble. Just as the spiritual intelligence of the blazing star was depressed and regretful, Chun Hao, whose soul power was getting weaker and weaker and was about to collapse, suddenly shouted loudly. Then, a scene that shocked the spiritual intelligence of the blazing star happened. The sevenfold mystical fire barrier suddenly exploded. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The endless sevenfold mystical fire was actually grasped in Chun Hao's palm, and more of it gathered. Oomph. Now you're obedient? Chun Hao's eyes shone with a soul-stirring light as he stared at the docile sevenfold mystical fire in his hand, which was like a sheep, and reprimanded it. Without a doubt, Chun Hao had forcefully comprehended the sevenfold mystical fire through his violent actions. Third update. Seeking monthly votes, subscriptions, and recommendation votes. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for recommendation votes and monthly votes. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 609. Aha! A brilliant smile appeared on Chun Hao's face as he comprehended the sevenfold mystic flame in his hand. 20 days of stifling depression had been swept away and was replaced by strong confidence. No wonder I couldn't find the right way to comprehend it. The sevenfold mystic fire has a qualitative change from the sixfold mystic fire, and I was influenced by the sixfold mystic fire. My direction was wrong from the beginning. If I follow that method, I'll be lucky if I can figure it out in a few months, let alone a month. I still need the vermilion bird to comprehend it with me. Chun Hao thought to himself. Ordinary top geniuses in the human celestial stage could only comprehend the threefold mystic fire. The limit of the Earth's celestial stage was the sixfold mystic fire. Only those in the heaven celestial stage could comprehend the sevenfold mystic fire and above. Only Daluo Jinxian could play with the ninefold heavenly fire. Those who had the inheritance of the ancient mythical beast of the fire attribute could surpass the limit of the realm itself. Those who had the fire spirit body would be stronger. Chun Hao only had the inheritance of the ancient mythical beast, but not the fire spirit body. Most importantly, he didn't comprehend it with the phoenix or the vermilion bird. This meant that he couldn't find the direction to comprehend it from the inheritance of the ancient mythical beast. There was a huge difference between the sevenfold mystic fire and the sixfold mystic fire. No matter how high Chun Hao's comprehension was, he couldn't find a breakthrough in a short time due to the influence of fixed thinking. It was just that Chun Hao didn't know before he comprehended the sevenfold heavenly fire. But now, Chun Hao succeeded in comprehending the subtle changes in the sevenfold mystic fire by using his powerful soul power to violently destroy the mysterious runes contained in the sevenfold mystic fire. It seemed thrilling, but in fact, for Chun Hao's powerful soul power, it was nothing. The final weakness was not what the blazing star thought. It was just that he didn't want to waste his soul power, so he deliberately weakened it. At that time, he had found the direction from the collapse and dissipation of the sevenfold mystic fire. In addition, although he didn't make any progress in the beginning, he had accumulated a lot of comprehension, so he easily broke through. The difference between the eightfold mystic fire and the sevenfold mystic fire is not big. Since I've found the direction, there's no need to waste my energy. Phew. Chun Hao released the sevenfold mystic fire with a wave of his hand, and his mind immediately merged into the eightfold mystic fire. 3 days later, he successfully comprehended the 8th level mystic flame. 7 days later, the ninefold mystical fire barrier was broken. At this moment, Chun Hao was directly enveloped by a 9th level mysterious fire that contained a mysterious divine ability. In a flash, he disappeared on the spot. Phew, this. Sure enough, the more daring a person is, the more bountiful the land is. Looks like my approach is correct. Ha ha. Seeing Chun Hao disappear into the star core space, the blazing star spirit was in a good mood. It felt like it was a hero again. Jieha, little bird, Master's aura has disappeared. Disappeared? You sparrow. Who are you calling a little bird? Ha ha. I told you that Master would definitely be able to do it. Now that both Master and Mistress have obtained a fire tribute opportunity, our future prospects are even brighter. In the future, we will definitely be able to fully restore our ancient divine beast might. Ha ha. Of course. When Chun Hao entered the star core space, the vermilion bird and Chun Hao instantly sensed something and knew what had happened. And the phoenix, who had not followed Chun Hao for many years, sensed it carefully and also sensed it. The phoenix had actually been completely handed over to Tantai Lien by Chun Hao. However, because of the phoenix's uniqueness and the relationship between Chun Hao and Tantai Lien, it could not really erase all this. Because Tantai Lien was ultimately a woman with a pure yin body, an absolute balance between yin and yang could not be maintained. This kind of situation was nothing to ordinary cultivators. Some cultivators even had to completely balance their yin and yang and focus on strengthening one type to be more powerful. But with the phoenix's inheritance in one body, one had to maintain the balance between yin and yang. Star core space. The moment Chun Hao was brought here by the mysterious ability formed by the ninefold mystic flame, he was stunned by the aura and seen in this space. His eyes stared blankly at the core of the star core space, unable to move away. Endless mystic fire floated in the space, from the 1st level to the 9th level. But it was vastly different from the mystic fire of the outside world. It was not the nature of the fire, but the way the mystic fire was combined. Here, the aura of any mystic fire was completely different, because every single one of them contained a strand of profound divine ability laws, and they were like complicated talisman markings that floated silently in the air. They were of various shapes, and they emanated the unique dark blue glow of profound flames, causing it to be beautiful and illusory, like an immortal paradise. Chun Hao instantly determined that this was definitely related to the application of the 1st level to the 9th level mystic fire, and it was an extremely powerful application. The door of profundity, all-encompassing. This is the great opportunity of the fire attribute star core space. Powerful. If I can completely comprehend the application of these different levels of mystic fire, how many times will my strength increase? Chun Hao sensed the mysteries contained in the mystic fire around him, and his mind could not help but waver. He even had a strong impulse to comprehend all the mysteries of the mystic fire here. But he knew that it was absolutely unrealistic. There were at least 10 billion mystic fire here. How could he possibly comprehend all of them? Without 10 million years, it would be unrealistic. Phew, this is not my Tao. Chun Hao heaved a sigh of relief. In less than 2 minutes, he jumped out of this endless temptation, and his mind became clear. It was also at this moment that the endless mysterious fire suddenly disappeared. But it was only for a moment, and Chun Hao opened his eyes and mouth wide again. He was even more excited and spirited than before. This, Xiaoyan? Chun Hao simply couldn't believe his own eyes. Mother of asterisk her, this really made him vomit blood. At the same time, it also made Chun Hao extremely clear-headed. It was him who came, and not others, at the core of the star core space. The boundless dark blue profound fire from the 1st layer to the 9th layer had condensed into a 9-leaf immortal lotus with a diameter of 3 kilometers. It emitted a misty, dark blue radiance. This radiance was the boundless profundity that Chunhao had sensed earlier. Without a doubt, if Chunhao had been excitedly immersed in comprehending the laws of the divine ability that caused him to be excited, he definitely wouldn't have been able to see this enormous 9-leaf immortal lotus, nor would he have been able to see Tantai Lien, who sat cross-legged at the top of the immortal lotus. Beautiful. This was the only feeling Chunhao had. This kind of beauty was not the kind of external beauty. Although her external appearance was really beautiful, it was not as if Chunhao had never seen Tantai Lien before. Moreover, Tantai Lien was not the most beautiful among all the girls, but at this moment, the feeling that Tantai Lien gave Chunhao was beyond any other moment of Tantai Lien's past. She was naked and sat cross-legged. Her entire body was as pink and translucent as a baby, and there was a faint smile on her beautiful face. On the 9-leaf celestial lotus formed by the mystic fire, there was a pure and holy aura. Just like her name, she was untainted by the mud, pure and clear, but not demonic. The mystic fire celestial lotus was like a living thing, swaying gently under her body. The drifting blue light flickered sometimes, and sometimes it flowed slowly around her body like spring water. It made Chunhao feel that Tantai Lien seemed to have merged with the mystic fire celestial lotus. The celestial lotus was her, and she was the celestial lotus. Phew, I understand. Xiaoyan has already reached the last step of obtaining a great opportunity. She only needs to wait for the yin and yang in her body to reach an absolute balance before she obtains this mystic fire celestial lotus. In other words, she will obtain a great opportunity. Surprisingly, Chunhao did not lose himself in such a moving scene, and he did not have an erection. This was very illogical. However, Chunhao did not realize this at all. In fact, he was completely infected by the otherworldly aura on Tantai Lien's body, and he could not have any evil thoughts, however. This did not mean that he would forget what he wanted to do. Therefore, when he muttered the words yin and yang must reach an absolute balance, he took a step forward and silently started to walk towards Tantai Lien, who was immersed in comprehension. However, Chunhao did not know that his initial worry that someone else would come in and see such a scene was completely unnecessary. In fact, if Chunhao and Tantai Lien did not have this special and mysterious connection between Dao companions, he would not be able to see Tantai Lien at all. He would only see the 9-leaf mystic fire celestial lotus. And what he wanted to do was to sit on the 9-leaf mystic fire celestial lotus like Tantai Lien, comprehend it, and obtain it. Gently, I'm coming. Chunhao slowly approached and stared, and such a sentence actually surged out from his heart. Will it startle her? She's obviously in a deep state of comprehension. Even if it's not sudden enlightenment, it's not far from it. If I'm able to silently fuse with her and not disturb her comprehension, then I'll surely be able to allow her to obtain a great fortuitous encounter very quickly. Chunhao thought in his heart, but he shook his head right after that. Obviously, that was impossible. There was no problem with Tantai Lien's cross-legged posture, and there was no sign of her breasts. But if he wanted to fuse her spirit and body, then it was impossible to do it silently, and it was even more impossible for Tantai Lien to fuse her spirit and body without being aware of it. Little Lien, I'm coming, when he thought up to here, Chunhao didn't hesitate any longer, and a strand of his mind instantly shot out and gently, extremely gently penetrated into Tantai Lien's mind. Chunhao had fused the profundities of sound he'd comprehended from reciting the general outline of the Grand Tao into this voice. He believed that by doing this, not only would he be able to let Tantai Lien know of his arrival, he would also not interrupt Tantai Lien's state of comprehension. Is it an illusion? It won't affect me. What puzzled Chunhao was that Tantai Lien actually didn't have any reaction at all. Little Yin, I'm coming. Chunhao once again strengthened his mind slightly. Although this is what I'm thinking in my heart, it's too unreal. I've already completely comprehended it, and I'm about to obtain it. This kind of low-level illusion, break for me. Fourth update, requesting monthly votes. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 610. If Chunhao knew what Tantai Lien was thinking at this moment, he would probably vomit blood, but Tantai Lien couldn't be blamed. When she was about to leave, due to the change in her state of mind, she suddenly had an epiphany and coincidentally obtained the recognition of the mystic fire. It was as though she had transformed into a dancing fire spirit. It was also at that moment that she obtained the qualification to enter the Star Core space. She was brought here by the mystical power of the ninefold mystic fire and cut off all contact with the Phoenix and the outside world. She didn't know Chunhao had come at all and didn't know that the spiritual wisdom of the blazing flame star had helped her. In her heart, Chunhao was still in a coma on the Wuji star. She wasn't even sure if he had woken up, so how could he be here? So, when she heard that familiar voice, which made her heart tremble more than ever before, but was obviously not real because it was too soft and gentle. How could he speak to her so gently? This had never happened before and would never happen in the future. Of course, this was a small flaw. The biggest flaw was that Chunhao couldn't possibly be here. Just this one was enough. So, Tantai Lien was sure that it was an illusion, and a low-level one at that. How could she be confused by it? Xiao Yin, I'm really here. Don't tell me you think it's an illusion. Just as Tantai Lien swung the sword of wisdom to cut off the voice of the illusion, Chunhao's voice sounded again. And it was much louder than before. He even asked Tantai Lien directly if she thought he was an illusion. Try to lock on my mind, and you'll know if it's an illusion. Chunhao continued. After saying a few sentences, Tantai Lien didn't respond. He didn't think that Tantai Lien couldn't hear his telepathy. Since she heard it but didn't respond, it didn't make sense. Then, the only possibility was that she thought his voice was an inner demon or an illusion. You want me to be fooled? My mind might be a powerful illusion. I'm already on the verge of success, so I can't be lured. How can I be targeted? Tantai Lien thought to herself. Most of her mind was still immersed in comprehending the mysteries of the mystic fire. All right, Xiaoyan, since it's like this, then don't blame me for taking action. You'd better be mentally prepared. I'm sending you this sound transmission because I'm afraid it'll affect your current state of comprehension. I want you to choose a suitable time to wake up. I'm already taking action. Tantai Lien's state of mind was as clear as a tranquil lake. But at this moment, a ripple suddenly appeared, causing Tantai Lien to be slightly startled. She felt her shoulder being gently touched. To be exact, it was being gently caressed. This moment of surprise caused her to involuntarily separate a strand of her mind from her comprehension. She felt the existence of an aura. However, he instantly focused his mind, not allowing the external demons to invade him. Don't even think about messing with my mental state. Hiss. A powerful mental wave suddenly gushed out from between Tantai Lien's eyebrows. It seemed to have transformed into streaks of sharp sword light around her body. It had to be said that what Tantai Lien felt this time was too real. It was so real that she almost believed that Chunhao had really come. However, with her clear mind, she was able to rationally confirm that all of this was just an illusion that had a very high degree of realism, but had a fatal flaw. Therefore, she used her wisdom and mental state as a sword to slash the external demons. Sensing the sharp sword of mental state, Chunhao caressed Tantai Lien's smooth, jade-like shoulders. His egg is shattered all over the ground. Her mental state is really firm. It's clearly real, but she can still slash the external demons. Even I can't do it, right? She probably didn't think that I would appear at all. That's why she's so firm. If that's the case. Chunhao frowned slightly. His eyes slid over Tantai Lien's graceful and exquisite body. Finally, when his eyes landed on her plump, round, firm, and attractive twin peaks, the corners of his mouth curled up into a devilish smile. Then I don't have to explain anything. Enter the illusion with reality. True and false, false and true. Let's see if she can hold it in and how long she can hold it in. Chunhao instantly made his decision. This was a situation that Chun Hao had never thought of before the beginning. It had to be said that this was definitely the best choice. It was countless times better than Chun Hao waking Tantai Lien up. Of course, the premise was that Chun Hao and Tantai Lien could hold on until the end in this kind of illusion that couldn't be distinguished from reality. Chun Hao had no problem. The key was whether Tantai Lien could hold on to her heart and believe that this was an illusion. If she could, it would undoubtedly be the best. Because in this way, Tantai Lien wouldn't lose her current state of enlightenment. Once she could achieve an absolute balance of yin and yang, everything would be completed smoothly. However, this was extremely difficult. Whether Tantai Lien could endure the torment and whether she could scrupulously keep her mind clear in the torment wasn't something that Chun Hao could control. In Chun Hao's opinion, there was hope, but it was very slim. Therefore, an unprecedented challenge appeared in front of Tantai Lien. Little Lien, did you miss your brother? I missed you so much. The light voice once again appeared in Tantai Lien's mind. At the same time, Chun Hao's excitement and arousal began the wonderful, great, and awesome decision he had made in a flash of inspiration. His two wretched claws gently stroked Tantai Lien's smooth and delicate skin, sliding down from her shoulders to her back, and then to her slender waist that he could hold with one hand. It felt really good. Break for me. Don't even think about messing with my state of mind. Don't even think about... break. The dual temptation of touch and sound once again stirred up ripples in Tantai Lien's heart. Although she instantly cut off the illusory voice and sealed her own sense of touch, Tantai Lien still felt all kinds of wonderful feelings in the depths of her heart. This feeling made her feel ashamed. The origin of the illusory realm was the inner demon. The inner demon was the latent desire in one's heart, the things that one wanted and desired. Now, she actually had such an illusory realm. Didn't that mean that her latent desire was to be F***ed by Chun Hao? Tantai Lien admitted that she had fantasized about it before, but that was only when she recalled her first time. More than that, she just hoped to see Chun Hao wake up as soon as possible, see Chun Hao come to the Earring Planet, and reunite with Chun Hao again. The illusory realm magnifies the latent desire in one's heart. At this critical moment, I can't be interrupted or disturbed by it. Everything is fleeting. You are just my inner demon. You are not the real him. Tantai Lien's glabella glowed faintly. In the face of the assault of her inner demon's illusory realm, she became even more resolute. In an instant, she was no longer distracted. Just when she thought that she had defeated her inner demon and the illusory realm. I know you miss me, just like I miss you. You are my first woman, and also the woman I love the most. Chun Hao's voice rang out again. At the same time, Chun Hao took another step forward. His hands slid over her slender waist and touched her suddenly protruding buttocks. Don't think about messing with me. Don't even think about it. Inner demon. This is so fake, so fake. How can I be the woman he loves the most? I'm only his first woman. He is just being responsible for me. He would never say such a thing. I can't panic. My heart is the master. Break for me. Chun Hao's magnetic voice and further teasing made Tantai Lien's heart ripple even more. However, at the same time, Chun Hao purposely created a loophole which made Tantai Lien believe that everything was fleeting, an illusion, and an inner demon. This was because the latent desire in her heart really wanted her to be the woman Chun Hao loved the most. Who wouldn't want this? However, her rationality told her that this was absolutely impossible. She wanted it, but she never wished for it to become a reality. How could the real Chun Hao say such a thing? Tantai Lien became even more resolute. However, she had to admit that this kind of inner demon's illusory realm made her very intoxicated. She even wanted to lose herself in it without caring about anything else. Very good. What Tantai Lien didn't know was that Chun Hao, who was right beside her and in front of her, was smiling excitedly at this moment. He was even more impressed with himself for coming up with this idea. From the looks of it, Tantai Lian's willpower was getting firmer and firmer each time. There was still hope. However, Chun Hao also knew that he had to do it step by step. He had to let Tantai Lian be more convinced that his teasing was an illusion under the constant teasing of the real and fake. He also had to make sure that her state of mind wasn't disturbed. If he progressed too quickly, the impact would be too great and cause Tantai Lian to lose control of her state of mind. Then, all his efforts would be for naught. After pausing for a moment and feeling that Tantai Lian had completely stabilized her state of mind, Chun Hao began to increase the teasing again. He even made a sound that even he himself felt numb. Meanwhile, his pair of wretched claws were getting more and more addicted to the touch, attacking the more sensitive areas bit by bit. As time passed, the game became more and more thrilling, especially when Chun Hao's large hands touched the holy twin peaks. Tantai Lian's body trembled uncontrollably. Luckily, Chun Hao had a good grasp of the situation. When he felt that Tantai Lian was struggling, he would stop and reduce the stimulation. When he felt that Tantai Lian had stabilized her state of mind and become firmer, he would start again and enjoy the wonderful feeling of touch. Even the two pink spots were being gently kneaded by him. Tantai Lian was extremely tormented. She was struggling between her rationality and the illusion that made her feel so ashamed that she almost fell into it. It tempered her state of mind again and again. On the path of cultivation, she had encountered countless mental demons and illusions. Every advancement and every heaven's punishment were unavoidable. However, she had never encountered an illusion that was so fake yet so realistic. She knew that this was the strongest illusion she had ever encountered. To her, this was an unprecedented challenge. As long as she could stay true to her heart, even if it was the last bit of clarity, she would be able to get through this. Then, her state of mind would definitely increase at a shocking rate. Apart from Mount Wu and not clouds, from now on, what other illusions could defeat her? Explode. I will still explode. Everyone, please support Dark Mountain. The monthly votes are too sad. I'm begging for subscriptions. The goal of getting into the monthly votes ranking is to increase our results. Subscriptions are results. If you have the ability, please support the official reading. How much is 1,000 words worth? Please give Dark Mountain some encouragement. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come and vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 611. 2 hours had passed, 4 hours had passed. Chun Hao's movements became bolder and more excited. Chun Hao had already started to admire Tantai Lian's strong willpower, because even Chun Hao, who was controlling all of this, couldn't help the burning desire in his dantian. He became more and more excited and couldn't wait to start the most primitive and seductive movement. But he couldn't. He had to endure it and control the rhythm and control the fire. He had to move forward step by step. He kissed Tantai Lian's soft lips and forced her teeth open bit by bit. He kissed her smooth tongue that only responded a little at the beginning when they were in a frenzy. Later on, there was no response at all. He kissed her sensitive ears and neck. He slid his lips to her holy breasts and tasted the 2 spots of red that had already swollen. 6 hours had passed. Although Tantai Lian still held on to her mind and didn't succumb, she struggled with all her might to defeat this illusion. However, her body didn't listen to her at all and had a reaction. The spring water of Taoyuan was like nectar that trickled down and moistened the grassland. Chun Hao, who was already naked, was full of masculinity. He had the most passionate and primitive strength and throbbing pulse. Phew, I can't hold it anymore. I can't hold it anymore. It's about time, right? This is the most crucial moment. Chun Hao slowly lifted Tantai Lian, who was sitting cross-legged. He was extremely nervous. Part of it was because of his burning desire, but more of it was because he was worried that Tantai Lian couldn't withstand the moment of the most intense stimulation. If that was the case, all his efforts would be in vain. Come on, come on. Xiao Yin, I can't hold it anymore. Do you still want to hold it in? Wake up and let me take good care of you. You will feel uncomfortable like this. Chun Hao's seductive voice floated into Tantai Lien's mind again. No, no, I will never be defeated by my inner demon. Never, never. Tantai Lien maintained the obsession in her heart and said resolutely in her heart. The illusion was detestable, but it made her want to lose herself again and again. It was an illusion that made her want to give up. How could she not know what the inner demon wanted to do when she said such words now? But she couldn't stop the illusion from coming closer and closer. He could only hold on to the clarity of his mind, hold on to his final comprehension, and hold on to his final state of mind. Press for me. I won't be defeated. I want to outbreak. At this moment, Tantai Lien's heart started to tremble. Since the arrival of the illusion, the first huge ripple had appeared. The layers of ripples overlapped each other and created a huge wave. She almost instantly lost her mind. The obsession in her heart made her unwilling to be defeated. She could clearly feel that her body in the illusion was slowly being invaded by the fiery firmness. When Chun Hao carefully attacked the city bit by bit, Tantai Lien could not control the throbbing and trembling of his body. This was especially so due to the natural reaction of the mysterious zone. It made Chun Hao resist the urge to make a real sound. Only his roars proved that it was equally difficult for Chun Hao to hold it in. This feeling, damn it felt so good to the extreme, but it was stifling. Stop. Stop. I have to stop. Finally, when Chun Hao, who was lying on his back, completed the asterisk that was even more realistic than the legends, he resisted the urge to do so. He felt the fiery and tight embrace and stopped all his actions. To be honest, if he didn't have extremely strong willpower, he definitely wouldn't have been able to resist it. Similarly, if he wasn't worried that Tantai Lien's heart would collapse and fail, Chun Hao definitely wouldn't have been able to resist it. Which man would want to do it at this moment? Her naked body remained in a cross-legged position. This was a true asterisk. That graceful body, that sparkling skin, that flushed face, and that tight embrace. Who could endure it? But Chun Hao resisted it. For a greater victory, for Tantai Lien, he resisted it. 15 minutes. After 15 minutes of torment, Chun Hao sensed that a certain part of Tantai Lien's body was being squeezed and trembled uncontrollably. When it finally stopped, Chun Hao knew that Tantai Lien had once again successfully defeated her mental demons. Phew! Mother of asterisk Kerr, this is really inhumane. If there's another chance like this, I won't do it again. Isn't it just interrupting the state of mind and starting over? How much time can it take? 10 days? 1 month? That's nothing. So what if it's delayed? Let's talk about it after I'm done. I'm really having a headache. Chun Hao was indeed having a headache. At this time, he no longer admired his wisdom and strength. But since he had already reached this step, there was no reason to give up before victory arrived. Therefore, Chun Hao could only resist the strong desire to immediately charge and break through the enemy lines. He did it at an extremely low and slow frequency. It was even worse than an old man with a weak kidney. He was about to vomit blood. But even so, Tantai Lien's reaction was still very intense. There were a few times when Chun Hao was almost scared to death. If Tantai Lien fell at this time, his efforts would be in vain. Fortunately, as time went by, Tantai Lien's state of mind and obsession also became adapted. Even if her body was out of control, even if Tantai Lien felt that her mind was going to split and she was going to burn with desire, a little clarity and obsession never made her completely fall, and Chun Hao also carefully sped up his rhythm. This was a tempering process, a process of adaptation, a process of torment from the time he attacked until now. More than 2 hours had passed. Chun Hao finally started to really enjoy himself. Although he couldn't make a sound, he had turned from an old man with a weak kidney to a strong and brave young man. Tantai Lien's reaction became more and more intense, but it seemed that she was doing two things at the same time. One part of her mind was always clear, guarding her heart and not being attacked by her mental demon illusion, while the other part of her mind couldn't help but be aroused by Chun Hao's repeated assaults, real and terrifying. because under this fusion of flesh and blood that she believed to be her heart demon's illusion, she felt Chun Hao's aura. It was the aura of absolute origin, the aura of absolute truth. Even though the clarity and reason in her heart still told her that all of this was fake, that it was all the hidden desires and heart demons in her heart, she could no longer find any flaws. This was not the aura of a realm, but an aura that actually caused her soul to fuse. Even though it had been a long, long time since the first fusion of spirit and flesh, this feeling was Chun Hao. The origin of this spirit and flesh was Chun Hao. She began to maintain the last bit of clarity in her mind and enjoy the pleasure of having sex with the person she loved. Of course, this feeling was absolutely real. She still believed that it was her mental demon that was causing trouble, because only she knew the aura of Chun Hao's soul origin, right? The mental demon was born from her memories and her hidden desires. Disappeared. Just as Chun Hao and Tantai Lien entered the blissful world of sexual intercourse, in the outside world, in the aircraft, Long Ting, who habitually crushed a communication talisman every day to sense Chun Hao's aura, suddenly exclaimed in surprise. Small wisdom number 1. Chun Hao's aura has completely disappeared. Master is safe, don't panic. Small wisdom number 1 said with great certainty. How do you know? You can't detect his aura. I'm both a smart brain and a spiritual treasure. If anything happens to Master, his imprint on Huaxiao number 1 will disappear, and now it's intact. Small wisdom number 1 explained in a mechanical voice. Oh, I forgot that you're a spiritual treasure. Then for him to disappear at this time, he must have gone deeper, beyond the range of the talisman's detection. This great opportunity is really strange. It's been a month, and the protection of the ninefold mysterious fire is still there. How long will it last? No, small wisdom number 1. I want to see the situation. Master asked you to wait here. I can't wait. I'm not going to steal his Taoist partner's opportunity. I'll just go in and have a look. There's no news at all. If this great opportunity lasts for a year or so, what will happen? I'm running out of food and medicine for bathing. That's settled. I'll go down and have a look. Open the door. All right, swish. A stream of light suddenly appeared in the void. The practitioners, who had not diminished in the slightest, raised their heads in surprise at this moment because they sensed a terrifying aura, which was absolutely no less powerful than Guanu's. Who's that? Who's in disguise? When did the Asianing planet have such an expert? The moment they saw the newcomer, all the people present had doubts. The newcomer was dressed in a black robe and wore a black bamboo hat. The aura around him was obviously disguised. He was tall and strong, and no one present knew him at all. Swish! Just like Guanu, the newcomer stepped directly into the entrance of the flaming eye. Ga! Boom! Immediately, there was a strange cry and a terrible explosion that resounded through heaven and earth. This is a good opportunity. If we don't go now, when will we? Boom, boom, boom. Some of the practitioners with higher cultivation, such as Mo Xiaozong, Wei Wushuang, and Zhu Peifeng, suddenly moved out at this moment. For nearly a month, they had thought of joining forces to enter, but unfortunately, none of them was willing to bear the brunt, and none of them could resist the double attack of the Phoenix and the ninefold mystic fire. But now, the sudden appearance of a mysterious expert with a sword made them see an opportunity, especially when they sensed that the Phoenix and the expert were quickly heading into the depths. They no longer hesitated. Obviously, the newcomer was so powerful that he had completely suppressed the madness that gave them a headache. Although he was not as fast as Guanu, he was not far away. Get out of my way. I'm a friend of your master Tantai Lien's Taoist partner, Long Ting. There are 2 more? Long Ting directly transmitted her voice to the phoenix in front of her. But at this moment, 2 more phoenixes flew out from the depths of the flaming eye. Second update, monthly votes, recommendation votes. Please subscribe. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 612. Very depressing. This chapter could have been completed by 7 o'clock, but the power went out several times in a row, and it only stopped for a few minutes. I don't know what's wrong. It's only better now. I've been delayed for more than an hour. I probably won't be able to write the 4th chapter. It's the 3rd chapter today. Long Ting, who had changed her appearance and entered violently, was fearless in the face of a phoenix or a phoenix's crazy attacks. The ninefold mystic fire burned on her body with a sizzling sound, but this girl seemed to not feel anything. Moreover, she used her absolute strength to force the vermilion bird to retreat. Of course, at this time, Long Ting thought it was one of the phoenixes, but why did 2 suddenly come? Long Ting didn't know that Chunhao had brought the vermilion bird in. Similarly, the vermilion bird couldn't recognize Long Ting, who had changed her appearance and aura. It couldn't resist the rampaging Long Ting at all, so it summoned the phoenix resting below. But now, Long Ting's words stunned the vermilion bird. Long Ting didn't know it, but it knew Long Ting. She was basically Master's future Tao companion. Although Long Ting had changed her aura, the vermilion bird knew that it must be Long Ting. After all, no one knew Tantai Lian, let alone Chunhao. Ga. The vermilion bird hurriedly sent a message to the aggressive phoenixes. Get out of the way and stop the bastard behind. I'm just going in to see the situation. Long Ting was also speechless at the appearance of the 3 phoenixes and didn't know what was going on. But this wasn't important to her. Even the 3 phoenixes couldn't stop her. She just didn't want to hurt the phoenixes. Ga. Miss Long, don't affect Master and the others. The vermilion bird's voice appeared in Long Ting's mind, and the aggressive phoenixes immediately rushed up to stop Mo Xiaozong and the others. Don't worry. By the way, why are there 3 of you? Aren't phoenixes always a pair? Chi. Long Ting asked through voice transmission as she sank quickly. I'm one of the 5 divine beasts, the vermilion bird. Those 2 ugly monsters are the phoenixes. How many secrets does he have? The phoenix and the vermilion bird. Long Ting didn't stay any longer. Her speed became increasingly fast. Just by relying on her powerful body and true essence, the 9-layered heaven's flame was unable to approach her. She was even stronger than when Chunhao had first entered. What's going on? The spiritual intelligence of the planet of blazing flames had sensed Long Ting's presence the moment she had barged in. The powerful physical body and strength that Long Ting had displayed had also astonished it. What was even more surprising was that the phoenix and the vermilion bird had only stopped her for a brief moment before allowing her to enter. This was out of his expectations. Although it didn't know to what extent Chunhao and Tantai Lian had progressed, it knew that Long Ting, who had just appeared, was an existence that could rely on the strength of her physical body and true origin to forcefully charge through the 9 heavenly flames. Vermilion bird, phoenix, why aren't you stopping him? Blazing Star couldn't help but ask in their minds. She's our master's friend and possibly his future Tao partner. She's only going in to check out the situation. She won't affect our master. Ugly monster. If you affect our master, we won't let you off. The phoenix said, stop him if you have the ability. I didn't force you to stop him. I'm not praising Long Ting. She's just a little bit weaker than our master. Chi. Long Ting was like a burning flame. She descended faster and faster, and the surging strength around her became more and more terrifying, resisting the 9-layered heaven's flame. However, not long after, she felt her body become lighter. The 9-layered heaven's flame had disappeared and was replaced by a low-level heaven's flame. It's indeed the protection of a great opportunity. That is to say, they haven't obtained the inheritance for the time being. Well, I don't have to worry about that. I'll descend deeper and have a look. With such a powerful blazing flame, I should be able to collect top-grade blazing flame, crystal marrow. Perhaps I can even see them. After verifying her thoughts, Long Ting was no longer anxious. Her body suddenly sped up again. Boom. Originally, Tantai Lian couldn't help but moan in the depths of her soul. She had been forcefully suppressing the mental demon dreamland that constantly forced her to fall and collapse. She had been holding on to the last wisp of clarity in her heart. However, Suddenly, in the dreamland, she actually reached a peak that made her mind go blank. At this moment, her soul and body couldn't be stopped at all. She really gave up her voice, just when she thought that she was finally defeated by the mental demon dreamland, and was probably going to fall into it and be unable to extricate herself. With a boom in her mind, the real feeling of her body and the real fusion of her soul and body suddenly appeared. How? She heard a deep, male voice that belonged to Chun Hao. She felt endless and indescribable pleasure. But all of this was filled with a wonderful feeling that she had never felt before. Her soul automatically went out of her body and intertwined with the person she had been yearning for day and night. She was wrapped in endless flames that hovered and danced above her body. In this blank but clear feeling in her mind, endless mystic fire and the mystic fire that condensed into various magical powers and laws all poured in her mind. In other words, it was the common mind of her and Chun Hao, the fusion of their souls and bodies and the unity of their minds. I made it. Chun Hao was like a volcano erupting. He was immersed in the endless pleasure that had been accumulated for many years. At the moment when his soul went out of his body and entered the real fusion of his soul and body, 3 words floated in his mind. He was completely immersed in this feeling that was thousands of times more wonderful than the process. He clearly felt that the magical powers condensed by mystic fire kept pouring into his mind. Most of them were magical powers of mystic fire that he couldn't understand. Without a doubt, he was getting a great opportunity. Chi Chi Chi. The 9-leaf mystic fire, celestial lotus blossomed with bright blue light. As if it was burning itself, it kept shrinking and dissipating. Tantai Lien and Chun Hao, who were still in the **** position, became more and more blue. It was as if all the light was being absorbed by the two of them. In fact, it was being absorbed by them. Is this real? What do you think? Are you really not a mental demon illusion? Are you a real existence? Mental demon illusion can help you get a great opportunity? Idiot. But this position is really not very comfortable. Let's do it again later. Faint voices flashed across their souls. In fact, they didn't even say it out loud. It was just an exchange of consciousness between sparks. However, the position that the two of them had maintained for several hours finally changed. Tantai Lien, who was sitting cross-legged, was finally tightly intertwined with Chun Hao. Was it a mental demon illusion or reality? Tantai Lien could no longer differentiate between reality and illusion. In short, the current feeling and the exchange of souls told her that it was absolutely real. However, didn't the mental demon illusion make you feel that it was absolutely real? Although more and more mystic fire laws entered her mind, Tantai Lien still couldn't differentiate between reality and illusion. Although he answered, none of this was important anymore. At this moment, she knew that even if it was a mental demon illusion, she had completely fallen into it. Chi Chi Chi, in the star core space, Chun Hao and Tantai Lien were receiving the inheritance of endless mystic fire laws. Boom, boom, boom. Outside the star core space, with a blazing eye as the core, the entire blazing star shook violently again when Chun Hao and Tantai Lien started to receive the great opportunity inheritance. However, the shaking only lasted for less than a minute before it disappeared. At the same time, the 9-level mystic fire guarding the entrance of the blazing eye disappeared too. It disappeared. It finally disappeared. Kill. Damn phoenixes. Let's see how they can stop me. Let's go. Chi Chi Chi. The cultivators who had waited for a whole month all burst out at this moment and rushed toward the blazing eye crazily. In their opinion, the disappearance of the 9-fold mystical fire was only because the Great Chance had reached the time limit for the person who had opened the Great Chance. At this time, it was the real time to fight for the Great Chance. Although the person who had opened the Great Chance, Guinu, and the mysterious cultivator must have taken the initiative, who dared to say that taking the initiative would definitely lead to the inheritance of the Great Chance. Now was the time for them to fight for it. Even the cultivators who were not very strong and were preparing to collect some high-level blazing fire crystal marrow were hoping for a fluke. Mo, Xiao Song, Zhu Peifeng, Wei Wu Shuang, and the other experts even burst out with powerful strength and rushed over first. Without the 9-level mystic fire, how could the phoenixes stop them? Moreover, they also thought that the phoenixes were the same as the 9-level mystic fire, which was the great opportunity for the person who opened it. And the fact was, as they expected, the phoenixes guarding the entrance of the cave had disappeared. Chi. When the phoenixes and the vermilion bird were reminded by the intelligence of the blazing star, they turned into 3 streams of flowing light and began to sink at an amazing speed. The 3 little birds were very excited because they already knew that Chen Hao and Tantai Lien had received the inheritance of the great opportunity. At this moment, it was coming to an end. As for the 9-level mystic fire, because the 2 had begun to receive the inheritance, it could not hold on any longer. Therefore, they had to join their masters as soon as possible. On the contrary, Long Ting, who was going deeper and deeper, did not feel anything. She calmly searched for the blazing fire crystal marrow with her powerful perception and kept diving down. Wherever she passed, she would not dare to say that she would pluck the feathers of a goose, but there were almost no leftovers. Moreover, there were not many blazing fire crystal marrow, even in the blazing eye. Ga. Why are they coming down? Long Ting, who was searching for the blazing fire crystal marrow while going deeper, suddenly heard a distant cry. Miss Long, our master has begun to receive the great opportunity. The 9-level mystic fire guarding the entrance of the cave has disappeared, and those cultivators have come in. Soon, the vermilion bird and the phoenixes appeared near Long Ting, and the vermilion bird directly transmitted a message to her. Begin to receive the great opportunity? Does Chen Hao mean to let others think that Guan Nu has received the great opportunity? Long Ting frowned slightly. Buzz. After pondering for a while, Long Ting directly crushed the communication talisman. Unfortunately, there was still no response. Let's hurry down and join our master. The communication talisman should not be able to reach him. At this moment, our master is still in the star core space and is still receiving the inheritance. This place is about 10 million miles away from the star core space. I see. Well, then let's go down first. After saying that, Long Ting suddenly turned into a stream of light and began to dive at full speed. The vermilion bird and the phoenixes followed closely behind. Today is the 3rd watch. I feel depressed because of the power outage. I should go to bed early. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 613. I'm really depressed. There's a problem with the circuit on the 1st floor. The property management team hasn't been able to solve it after a whole day. One of them changed the circuit and cut off the electricity on the entire floor. Damn it, I'm so angry. The property management team will come tomorrow to check the cause and repair it. They've temporarily cut off the electricity in that house. They switch it on for us. Once that house turned on, the main circuit on the 1st floor tripped. This is a Chapter 1 wrote outside with my notebook. I'll send it first. I'll update it at night. I haven't used a notebook for a long time. I'm not used to it, hiss. The 9-leaf mystic fire celestial lotus entered Chen Hao and Tantai Lien's souls. At this moment, Chen Hao and Tantai Lien, who were still entwined together and changing their positions as they pleased, finally welcomed another peek as if they had calculated the time. Phew! Chen Hao let out a long sigh of relief. His large hand pressed tightly on Tantai Lien's plump and sexy butt. Meanwhile, Tantai Lien hugged Chen Hao tightly as if she wanted to rub herself into his body. After receiving the inheritance together again, and under the state of soul and body fusion, Chen Hao and Tantai Lien's souls and hearts were much closer. Although they didn't have the legendary telepathy, they could still capture each other's emotional fluctuations. Little Yin, time's up. We're about to be ejected from this star core space. Chen Hao paused for a moment and continued. Well, you should believe that this isn't your mental demon's illusion, right? Oh, I believe you. but I keep feeling that this might still be an illusion. Even if it's an illusion, we can't let others see us like this. Hurry up and put on the soft armor. Chunhao slowly left Tantai, Lian's body. Chunhao was also very helpless about Tantai, Lian's current state. Just now, during the process of yin and yang fusion, he had already communicated with Tantai, Lian, through the thought of soul fusion. He told Tantai, Lian, about his situation after waking up from a coma of 10 years. Unfortunately, Chunhao's method, which he thought was brilliant at the beginning and later thought was a pain in the ass, had caused Tantai, Lian, to sink too deeply into it. It could be said that she was completely confused. She really couldn't determine whether it was true or false. The obsession had been tormented for too long. What was too real, and what was fake was too fake. Until now, it was hard to distinguish between what was real and what was fake. In fact, if it were anyone else, it would be difficult for them to escape in a short period of time. Only by walking out and experiencing some unexpected events that could separate Tantai Lian from her mental demon's illusions could she break free from the shackles of her rationality and mental demon's illusions and completely wake up. The premise was that he had to find the truth that he couldn't break through his mental demon's illusions. Tantai Lian responded, Chi. Just as the two of them put on their soft armor, they were ejected out of the core space. Wang. Master, we're here. Long Ting came in with us. Behind us, many cultivators also came in, but they were affected by the mystic fire and moved very slowly. The vermilion bird and the phoenix, who were only 100,000 miles away from Chunhao and Tantai Lian, and the mystic fire around them had also turned into ninefold mystic fire. The moment Chunhao and Tantai Lian came out of the core space, they sensed the special connection between them and their master. Almost at the same time, they cried out excitedly in Chunhao and Tantai Lian's minds. Ga. Master is out. At the same time, the vermilion bird transmitted a message to Long Ting, who was flying in front of them. It had to be said that Long Ting, this abnormal girl, was even more valiant than the vermilion bird and the phoenix, which were ancient divine beasts in the ninefold mystic fire. Chunhao was slightly taken aback when he heard that Long Ting had also come in. However, when he recalled that he had been in there for a whole month without any news, he suddenly understood. Given this girl's character, how could she endure it? Hiss. After a while, the vermilion bird, the phoenix, and Long Ting, who was flying in front like a shooting star, appeared in front of Chunhao and Tantai Lian's eyes. Chi. The vermilion bird and the phoenix instantly turned into 3 streaks of blue light and entered the glabella of Chunhao and Tantai Lian respectively. Long Ting, who was still calm and composed under the 9th level mystic flame, stared at Tantai Lian with her beautiful eyes. She didn't even look at Chunhao. Instead, she stared at Tantai Lian. Similarly, Tantai Lian did not avoid Long Ting's gaze at all. She looked at Long Ting and sized her up. Although both of them tried their best to maintain a calm and gentle look, this direct or scrutinizing gaze was imperceptibly filled with a strong smell of gunpowder. She's actually so beautiful. The rumor that the Wuji star is full of handsome men and beautiful women is indeed true. She's also quite powerful, Long Ting thought to herself. At this moment, Tantai Lian seemed to have become one with the ninefold mystic fire. She clearly did not activate any energy, but the ninefold mystic fire did not affect her at all. It was as though she was a fire spirit. Long Ting knew that this should be because Tantai Lian definitely had shocking attainments in the mystic fire realm. This woman is so beautiful, and her aura is so powerful. Moreover, she even followed him here. I think she must have a close relationship with him again, Tantai Lian thought to herself. Although Chunhao did not mention Long Ting, the intelligent her instantly determined that the relationship between this woman and Chunhao was not so simple. Firstly, she, Chunhao, and the others all understood Chunhao's nature. It was not that Chunhao was lecherous, but Chunhao was too outstanding and too eye-catching. No matter where he went, he was like a firefly in the dark night. He was so bright and dazzling. If they were not careful, they would be touched by flowers and grass. Faced with the temptation of such a beautiful woman throwing herself at them, how many men could withstand it? Behind an outstanding man, there were usually numerous beautiful and outstanding women. No matter if it was in the mortal world or the cultivation world, it seemed to be an unchanging law since ancient times. Secondly, a woman's sharp intuition allowed Tantai Lien to sense the competition behind Long Ting's scrutinizing gaze, a competition with her. This kind of situation would only occur when one took the other to be a competitor, or more precisely, a love rival. Cough, cough. Little sister Ting, this is my Tao companion, little Lien, Tantai Lien. Chunhao lightly held Tantai Lien's small hand as he introduced, and then he looked at Tantai Lien and said, "Little Lien, this is Long Ting." Her brother, I, and her felt like old friends at first sight. How should I put it? That feeling is like a long-lost family. Ha! Yeah, family. You treat my brother like a brother, and you treat me like a Tao companion. Tantai Lien, I'm very happy to meet you. You're really beautiful, even more beautiful than I imagined. What made Chunhao speechless was that, after hearing his introduction, Long Ting actually smiled foolishly in her signature way, as if she didn't care about anything. She directly changed his introduction completely, and the flavor was no longer the same. You're also very beautiful and very powerful. Tantai Lien looked at Long Ting's small hand that was stretched out, and she didn't show any reservation, nor did she show any hostility. She stretched out her own hand and said, "Little sister Ting, you didn't expose your identity when you came in, right?" Chunhao saw this scene and was slightly relieved in his heart. In fact, he had already thought of the scene that might occur after Tantai Lien and Long Ting met. But he had underestimated Tantai Lien's broad mind and overestimated Long Ting's reserve. Moreover, Long Ting could be considered an unexpected attack. She appeared here in advance and caught Chunhao off guard. Originally, Chunhao had planned to tell Tantai Lien in advance when they boarded the aircraft. "Of course not." "Hiss," Long Ting said. As she spoke, her aura, appearance, and figure instantly underwent a strange distortion and change. After that, a burly figure wearing a black Taoist robe and a black bamboo had appeared before the two of them. "How is it? I guarantee that they won't recognize me with this appearance, right? Guinu, where's Itoda? Don't tell me you." Long Ting's powerful soul perception couldn't sense Itoda's existence at all, so she couldn't help but ask. "It's settled. You don't have to worry about it. Anyway, nothing will happen. Little Lien, you also change your appearance and disguise yourself. I won't show myself. When those cultivators come here, you just pretend to be stupid and attack the barrier of the core space for a while, and then pretend to be very angry and leave. In short, let them conclude that Guinu is still in the core space." Chunhao said, "Who is Guinu?" Tantai Lien asked confusedly. Chunhao then quickly explained Guinu's situation to Tantai Lien. Tantai Lien finally understood what was going on. At the same time, she was shocked by Chunhao's horror. They hadn't seen each other for more than 10 years, and Chunhao had been in a coma for 10 years. But he who had just stepped out of the Wuji star had once again reached the level that she looked up to as his Taoist companion. Tantai Lien was naturally happy. But looking at Long Ting, she didn't know why, but now she wished that Chunhao was not so outstanding, even if he was a little ordinary. "Okay, Tantai Lien, can I call you Little Lien?" "Okay, then I'll call you Little Ting. Is that okay?" "Okay. Well, Little Lien, then the two of us will perform later. You're not familiar with Anu, so just do as I say." "Okay." After waiting for 4 hours, Mo Xiaozong, Zhu Peifeng, Wei Wushuang, and other cultivators with higher cultivation bases finally arrived while desperately resisting the ninefold mystic fire. From afar, they saw a burly, mysterious cultivator and a cultivator they had never seen before. They were crazily attacking the deepest part of the cave, which was the wall at the bottom of the cave. "Humph, junior sister, you idiot. You were the one who activated the great opportunity, but someone else entered. You're a disgrace to Master." I'm so angry. It's not easy to come to the Asianing planet. It's so embarrassing. That person is too strong. You came too late, and it's my fault. You still didn't get it, right? Humph. If you had come earlier and helped me stop him, he wouldn't have gotten it first. Forget it. If I can't get it, then I can't get it. I'm leaving. Fine, I'll leave. You're a fire spirit body. Tantai Lien, who had also become burly, bickered with Long Ting in a muffled voice. Under the gaze of Mo Shout Song and the others, she quickly left. No wonder we don't know them. They're geniuses from other main planets. What sharp eyes. Damn it. Fortunately, we came in large numbers. If we were alone, I'm afraid we wouldn't even know how we died. Mo Shout Song and the others were already struggling to resist the ninefold mystic fire. At this time, if the two burly cultivators attacked them, they might not be able to resist at all. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for it at Chidian. Calm. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 614. Phew. Guan is really strong. No wonder he's Hongmeng Supreme's personal disciple. The conversation between Long Ting and Tantai Lien made Mo Shout and the others know that Guan had obtained a great opportunity. Moreover, they didn't doubt their words at all. After all, the ninefold mystic fire guarding the cave entrance had just disappeared, and so had the phoenix, which they thought was the guardian beast of the great opportunity. Long Ting and Tantai Lien were the ones who started the great opportunity, and the other came in later. Apart from the two of them, only Guan had disappeared. All of this was very clear. If I had known that I couldn't get the opportunity and there were only a few blazing fire crystal essences, I wouldn't have wasted a month and let Guan get all the benefits. Sizzle. Sizzle. A fight for a great opportunity ended just like that. Whether they wanted to eat meat or drink soup, they had waited in vain for a month without even smelling the smell of meat. This was indeed very depressing. However, there was nothing they could do but be envious of Guan. The personal disciple of Hongmeng Supreme was indeed incomparable to ordinary people. He had talent, strength, and luck. How could they compare? This is an aircraft? Tens of thousands of miles away, Tantai Lien asked in surprise when Chun Hao, who had merged with everything in the world, returned to the aircraft with Tantai Lien and Long Ting. Yes, a miniature aircraft, Chun Hao said with a smile. Where did you get it? Could it be Guan? Tantai Lien asked doubtfully. Although she had only been on the Asianing planet for a few years, she knew how precious aircraft were. In particular, this kind of small aircraft was extremely precious and rare. Although she knew that Chun Hao was powerful, how long had it been since Chun Hao came in? How could he have gotten an aircraft? How could Guan have one? This is refined by him. Xiaoyan, don't you know that he's very good at refining weapons? And he can refine something I've never heard of. Xiaoji number 1, can you say something? Long Ting said enthusiastically before Chun Hao could speak. It had to be said that when Long Ting saw that Tantai Lien actually didn't know that Chun Hao had an aircraft, she was more or less a little proud because she knew. So what if they were Dao companions? Although we're not Dao companions yet, Chun Hao treats me just as well as your Dao companions. Look, I know this secret before you do, right? This was the portrayal of Long Ting's inner feelings. Of course, she didn't show it on her face. How? Xiao Ting was telling the truth. Did he just refine it not long ago? Otherwise, how could I not know? Tantai Lien, who had kept a low profile for many years, was actually a very smart and thoughtful woman. How could she not hear Long Ting's flattery? She, who had regained her former confidence, said straightforwardly, "This is indeed something I just made, and I worked overtime to find you. All right, let's go pick up Long E. It's time to leave. Little Ji, activate it." Chun Hao said as he glared at Long Ting. This girl, she hasn't even become an official yet, and she's already showing off her abilities. Won't she turn the world upside down once she becomes an official? Unfortunately, Long Ting just laughed as if nothing had happened. She pulled Xiaoyan and said, "Xiaoyan, I'll treat you to something to eat." What Chun Hao didn't know was that Long Ting, who looked fine on the surface, was muttering in her heart that she would teach Chun Hao a lesson She wasn't afraid of offending Chun Hao. She believed that in the end, Chun Hao would be obedient to her and would be seduced by her. He would be burned with lust. Since it had already started, was there a reason to end it? No. Although it wasn't a spirit pill at that time, it was just a combination of spirit fruits, but it still used her blood essence. Strictly speaking, this was the same as the Yin Yang Nirvana pill that Chun Hao got from Guan. The only difference was that Guan's was the ultimate one and only used Guan's blood essence. As for the medicine that Long Ting gave Chun Hao, although it also only used her blood essence, it was supposed to be done in the primary stage. It was to train her Taoist partner. Long Yi was originally training within a radius of millions of miles, so under the control of Chun Hao, it only took him a few minutes to meet up with Long Yi. In the past 2 months, although Chun Hao, Long Yi, and Long Ting didn't deliberately collect the blazing fire crystal marrow, their strength and luck had already gathered enough for the task. Especially in the eyes of the blazing fire crystal marrow, although Long Ting didn't look for it for long, she still got a lot. As for Tantai Lien, needless to say, after receiving Long Yi, they inevitably introduced him for a while. However, the 4 of them didn't leave directly. Instead, they let Tantai Lien hand in the task and activate the token. Chun Hao, Long Yi, and Long Ting quickly went to the eyes of the blazing fire crystal. It was safest for them to appear for such a big thing, wasn't it? Chun Hao returned to his original appearance, while Long Yi and Long Ting returned to their original appearances. As for why Long Ting and Long Yi had returned to their original appearances, it was actually very simple. They were able to determine the true identity of others, and others were similarly able to determine the identity of Long Yi and Long Ting. Even though Long Ting and Chun Hao had disguised themselves as Tao companions, it was probably slightly difficult for them to deceive those who were familiar with them. After all, there were only so many people who could get insider information. Long Yi, Long Ting, and Chun Hao pretended to be travel-worn and rushed over like soy sauce. Long even asked many cultivators who were leaving, including Mo Xiaozong and the others. After learning that the great opportunity was obtained by Guan, they showed enough depression. Then, they activated the token and disappeared from the blazing fire planet. When they appeared again, the 3 of them were directly teleported to the front of a huge aircraft by the token. At this time, Long Ting and Long Yi returned to their original appearances. Long Ting was still pretending to be Chun Hao's Taoist partner. This made Long Ting a little happy. The reason was simple. Tantai Lien was already in the aircraft. Moreover, at this time, she couldn't recognize them. All of this seemed to be very boring, but it actually erased all traces of evidence. At least, no one would think that they were in the same place as Guan. Everyone's luck was good. After waiting for 5 days, a new batch of cultivators came under the lead of an aircraft, and Chun Hao's aircraft left directly. Long Ting, who entered the private space with Chun Hao again, naturally couldn't help flirting with Chun Hao. However, Long Ting was depressed to find that the effect of her medicine seemed to have weakened. Although she knew that this was only temporary, she was still a little depressed. The reason was simple. Chun Hao's many years of savings had been given to Tantai Lien. It more or less had some effect. In fact, Long Ting didn't know that Chun Hao was enduring more pain this time than before. As the saying goes, after tasting the marrow, one would crave the taste. With the potential effect of the medicine, how could the brave Chun Hao not be willing to endure it? However, Chun Hao knew that he had to endure it, because no matter how he looked at it, Long Ting was not something that Chun Hao could eat now. Since he couldn't eat her, why play with fire? Chun Hao didn't think that there was anything good about playing with fire. Chun Hao, who was immersed in comprehending the great opportunity inheritance of the blazing star, finally endured 10 difficult days and could enter the second world. Beep, 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 beep. Just when he chose the real body mode to enter the second world, there was a continuous stream of messages in his mind. It lasted for several minutes before it stopped. Chun Hao was slightly surprised. How could there be so many messages? When he left, he told Heavenly Lord Yuan Ru, Chun Shui, Helian Wuzi, and Xia Yuyu. As for the others, no one knew his number. Chen Hao's mind moved, and he started to read the messages quickly. After a while, his face showed a touch of surprise, confusion, and then monstrous anger. Boom! The anger that he had never felt before erupted from Chen Hao like a volcano. He in the second world, and in the aircraft exploded at the same time. F CK. Is this still a master at the human celestial stage? It's too horrible. Chen Hao, what's wrong with you? In Yang City in the second world, many cultivators who were walking around Chen Hao looked at Chen Hao, who was emitting a horrible aura suddenly. The endless destructive will, the monstrous murderous intent, and the aura that was even more horrible than an Earth Celestial's. Instantly, countless cultivators who were passing by were shocked. In the aircraft, Long Ting was also shocked by the horrible aura of Chen Hao. At this time, she had also just landed in the second world. However, her real body was shocked by Chen Hao. Die. I'll make all of you die for me. All of you die. Boom. 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 Chen Hao in the second world, and the aircraft seemed to have gone crazy. He didn't even hear Long Ting's question. Only Chen Hao's bone-chilling voice rang in her ears. At this moment, the passers-by in the second world and Long Ting in the aircraft shuddered. It was indescribable how Chen Hao felt at this moment. However, everyone felt their blood freeze. In the second world, even the cultivators at the peak of the later stage of the Earth's celestial stage who were passing by were intimidated by Chen Hao's aura. Chen Hao. At this moment, Long Ting suddenly felt inexplicably nervous and even faintly felt a trace of heartache. This was especially so when she saw Chen Hao's seemingly demonic fury, which caused her to panic. This was a feeling that had never appeared before. From the time she met Chen Hao until now, even when he was drugged by her, Chen Hao could be extremely calm and let her seal him. During the days when they were together, even before and after the fight with the powerful Wen Nu, he was always terrifyingly calm. But now, Long Ting's intuition told her that something big must have happened. When Long Ting ran to Chen Hao's side nervously and held Chen Hao's hand tightly, Chen Hao's eyes fell on her. Second update. Wushan continue. Try to write another chapter before 12 o'clock. Tomorrow morning, I will go to the internet cafe to write. The notebook is really not used to it. Tomorrow, the property management will check the wiring from house to house. I guess there will be intermittent power outages. Now, only 2 houses on our floor have power outages. My house and the other 4 houses have power outages. I hope it can be fixed tomorrow. This is really a pain in the ass. If they want to jump the gate that caused the problem, they will jump the main gate on our floor. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 6:15. Do you know anything about the Happy Valley? Chen Hao asked Long Ting. His eyes had regained some clarity. He suppressed the violent, destructive aura around him. The Happy Valley? Chen Hao. Brother Hao, what happened? Long Ting was slightly taken aback. However, seeing that Chen Hao had regained his senses, she relaxed a little and asked, Answer me first. Chen Hao looked directly at Long Ting and asked, The Happy Valley is one of the top forces on the Yang planet. It specializes in the Yin-Yang Union Tao. From the Valley Master to the disciples, they are all debauched people who advocate that freedom. Their male and female disciples are all casual. I know that. Chen Hao interrupted Long Ting and said, Do you know the number 1 genius of the Happy Valley? Are you talking about Mo Xiaoji? I don't know his name. Is he from the demonic ant planet? He is from the demonic ant planet. 8 years ago, when he was at the human celestial stage, he challenged my brother. My brother won by a narrow margin. However, not long after that battle, he was promoted to the Earth celestial stage. 3 years ago, he was promoted to the peak of the mastery stage of the Earth celestial stage. However, before we accepted this task, Brother Tian told me he seemed to have died. Just now. You don't tell me you have something to do with him? Phew. That's right. It has nothing to do with him. He's just a dead man. What the hell happened? Mo Xiaoji died at the hands of the Wuji planet. They came to find us. Long Ting cried out in surprise. She knew about the agreement between the top forces on the Ying planet. Mo Xiaoji, the #1 genius of the Happy Valley, had been killed by the Wuji planet. What did that mean? Almost instantly, Long Ting understood. Who? Who killed him on the Wuji planet? Long Ting asked. This was crucial. Mo Xiaoji, the #1 genius of the Happy Valley, had been killed by the Wuji planet. According to the agreement between the top forces on the Ying planet, the #1 genius of the Wuji planet had to pay the price. This was the most basic requirement to treat the limitless star as a top power. With the status of a valley of happiness, they definitely wouldn't give up so easily. The price that the limitless star would have to pay would definitely be 10 times or even 100 times greater. And how could Chun Hao, the #1 genius of the limitless star, escape? In the chaotic space, the flying machines of our planet Wuji collided with the flying machines of the demonic ant planet and died. Then isn't that a heavenly immortal stage expert from your limitless star? Long Ting's expression changed. I'm actually the one controlling you. Unfortunately, no one will believe me. But that's not important anymore. What do they want? Are you going to fight? And it's a heavenly immortal expert? Long Ting knew very well that Chun Hao's so-called limitless flying machine was definitely something that only a heavenly immortal stage expert could control. She believed Chun Hao when he said that he was the one controlling it. But even if Chun Hao could demonstrate it, what evidence did he have to prove that he was the one controlling it? In other words, according to the agreement of the top powers, Chun Hao would accept the challenge of a heavenly immortal realm expert, and his life and death would be decided by fate. It's the peak of the late-stage, heavenly, immortal stage. No, Chun Hao, when we return to Xintian City, you leave the Ying planet immediately. I'll find Grandpa and ask him to take you to Vast Universe Star. With your results in the preliminary test, your talent in refining, you can definitely enter Vast Universe Temple without taking the test. As long as you become a member, the Joy Hall, and even the Ying planet's master won't dare to push the matter of the limitless star onto you. I'll contact Grandpa now. Vast Universe Temple of Vast Universe Star did not belong to any of the top powers in the Vast Universe Galaxy, but it was above all of them. It was the highest temple of the human race in the Vast Universe Galaxy, and it was the symbol of power in the Vast Universe Galaxy. It was directly under the jurisdiction of the Master of the Vast Universe Galaxy, who is also the Supreme Commander of the human race. Basically, 99% of the top powers in the Vast Universe Galaxy, the Masters of the 36 main planets, and the Supreme Masters of Hongmeng were from Vast Universe Temple. Anyone who was qualified to enter Vast Universe Temple, as long as they could grow up normally, would at least be a golden immortal king. Generally, those who were above them could become masters of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. Wait, there's no need to contact them. I must fight. Are you crazy? Let alone a heavenly immortal. Even an earth immortal would be able to take you down as long as they hire a genius from the Vast Universe Galaxy. Peak late-stage heavenly immortals don't even need to hire anyone. Any one of them would be enough to kill you. Don't you know how powerful a heavenly immortal is? Long Ting said emotionally. She knew Chun Hao was very strong, so strong that he was even more abnormal than her. Moreover, the more she learned about him, the more she felt Chun Hao was unfathomable. However, he was at the peak of the mastery stage of the heavenly celestial stage. How could an earthly celestial or human celestial compare to the strength of a heavenly celestial? At least, in the long history of the Vast Universe Galaxy, no one in the human immortal realm had been able to defeat a heavenly immortal. I still have time. Besides, I have to fight. Since they've thought of this method to get rid of me, they've naturally thought of all the methods I could use. Why must you fight? Can they stop you from entering Vast Universe Temple? If I don't fight, my companions will die. I don't know where they got the news from. At the same time, they captured Xiao Shui, Xiao Wu, Yu Yu, Huan Huan, and Lei Lei, and my senior brother, Heavenly Venerable Yuanru. As long as I agree to fight, they can come back unharmed. If I don't fight, they'll fight with me. They're all locked up in the law enforcement hall of the Asian Star Alliance. How is this possible? How could the law enforcement hall of the Asian Star Alliance agree to this? Don't they know what your talent means? Talent. Haha. If you don't grow up and have enough strength, you're nothing in the eyes of the big shots. I'll remember what they've done to me today. The demonic ant planet, the Happy Valley, the law enforcement hall of the Asian Star Alliance, and even the ruler of the Asian Star. One day, I'll make them pay 100 times or 1,000 times the price. I should thank Vast Universe Temple. That's more like it. Then I'll send a message to Grandfather right now. Long Ting could clearly feel the monstrous killing intent behind Chun Hao's calm words, but Chun Hao's last sentence made her heave a sigh of relief, and she hurriedly said, although she admired Chun Hao's spirit of sacrifice for his companions and senior brother, she wanted Chun Hao to live even more. This was human selfishness. No, don't misunderstand. I'm just thanking Vast Universe Temple for taking the initiative to intervene in this matter to buy time. Chun Hao, what do you mean? I don't know how the temple found out about this, but they didn't stop them. Instead, they asked them to give me 10 years, as long as I accept the challenge within 10 years. If I'm not wrong, when we get off the aircraft, Xiaoyan will be captured. Perhaps. Chun Hao, who is still in the second world, sent a message to Tantai Lien. However, she, who should have entered the second world with him, did not respond. It's under their control now, Chun Hao said in the aircraft. The law enforcement team of the Alliance, actually, since the temple intervened, they must have noticed you. Why didn't they resolve this matter directly? Instead, could it be that they're testing you? Yes, that must be it. 10 years. 10 years. Are you confident? Sorry, I've only written about 2,000 words so far, not 3,000. I'll post it first. I don't want everyone to wait. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for it at Qidian. Come. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 616. 10 years is too long. Seize every minute. All right, little Ting, I'm going to start cultivating with all my might. You don't have to worry about me. With that, Chun Hao closed his eyes. He did not say much to Long Ting. This was because even he could not be sure what realm he would reach in 10 years. He only knew that 10 years later would be the time for him to go on a killing spree. If he were to advance for the sake of advancement, he had absolute confidence that he would be able to advance to the heavenly immortal realm in less than 10 years, and he was also confident that he would be able to fight any heavenly immortal master. However, he had already found his own path, and he could not lose his Tao heart for the sake of battle. After all, the Divine Temple had already intervened, and it was obvious that they were testing him, just as Long Ting had said. In that case, Heavenly Lord Yuanru and the girls would be safe for the next 10 years. Most importantly, the Divine Temple had sent him a message that the Divine Temple would personally send someone to supervise the enforcement hall of the Asian Star Alliance for 10 years, to ensure the cultivation of Heavenly Lord Yuanru and the girls. This was undoubtedly telling Chun Hao that there was no need to rush for quick success, and that he only needed 10 years. Although the Divine Temple did not help me solve the problem, such an assessment shows that they value me even more. I really did not expect that the lofty Divine Temple of the human race would notice me so early and treat this crisis as a trial for me. Could it be that the Divine Temple knows all about my hidden strength? Impossible. The Divine Temple can find out anything about me in the second world, and they can also find out where my real body has gone, but they can't be so specific as to know everything. Is my performance in the second world and the results of the preliminary test worth the Divine Temple doing this? Perhaps. Chun Hao was more or less puzzled. This was because he had already learned about the Vast Universe Divine Temple, and Vast Universe Divine Temple was his goal. After obtaining the abnormal results of the preliminary test, Chun Hao had avoided all the top forces, including the top forces of the Vast Universe Divine Temple that would definitely rush over to recruit him, because he had already determined where he wanted to go. However, based on the information he had gathered, he did not have the qualifications to be chosen by the Vast Universe Divine Temple based on the results of the preliminary test, let alone take the initiative to recruit him. Therefore, he needed to perform better. Of course, if Chun Hao displayed his abnormal refining ability, there would definitely be hope. However, other than Heavenly Lord Yuanru, Long Ting, and Long Yi, his ability to refine artifacts was not exposed at all. How could Temple know? He didn't think that Heavenly Venerate Yuanru would inform the Sacred Hall of such heaven-defying news and win the right to enter the Sacred Hall. After all, Empyrean Yuanru was well aware that Chun Hao was relying on the strength he displayed now. If he tempered himself for a period of time, or if he increased his boundary a bit more, he would absolutely be able to step into the highest temple of humanity, vast universe temple. There was no reason for him to reveal his heaven-defying trump card. In the cruel world of cultivation, this was the most normal thing to do. If it was said that Chun Hao had no hope of entering the divine temple, then he would definitely be exposed. If there was hope, then why should he expose himself? One more trump card meant one more life-saving method in the cruel cultivation journey in the future. There was a bottom line to displaying one's talent, winning luck, winning attention, and winning the favor of experts. When the conditions were met, no one would go overboard and completely expose themselves. It was precisely because he hadn't completely exposed himself that Chun Hao was a little confused. Why did the high and mighty Sacred Hall notice him so early? Moreover, they specifically intervened in his affairs to train and test him. This gave Chun Hao the feeling that he had been hit with a pie. Although he had the true ability to get this pie, it should have been after he was exposed, right? But now, he was indeed hit with a pie before he was exposed. Perhaps Chun Hao couldn't figure it out. When he didn't want to continue thinking about it, a piece of news that he originally thought was exaggerated or deliberately spread out for the sake of face suddenly appeared in his mind. It was the news that the Shiman family, Shiman Luoyun, and all the heavenly immortal experts from the 4 planets who had intercepted the Silver Wing last time had all had their physical bodies destroyed. It was said that they had been attacked by powerful experts from the insect clan. At this moment, a light bulb flashed in Chun Hao's mind. A figure that he was closest to, but every time he thought he had seen through it, it became more distant and more unfathomable. Father. Chun Hao clenched his fists tightly. At this moment, he couldn't describe his feelings. He hoped that it was his father, but he also hoped that it wasn't. He hoped that it was because the stronger his father was, the better. Moreover, no matter what he did, to what extent he could do, even if he did it poorly, the final outcome would be that he, Heavenly Lord Yuanru, the girls, and the Wuji star, nothing would happen to them. He hoped that it wasn't. That was because he was arrogant by nature. He didn't want to be controlled by anyone and dominate his own fate, not even his father. Although he knew that if it was really his father who was controlling him, his father was doing it for his own good, he didn't like this feeling. He was in control of his own fate. He was in control of his own path. He was in control of his own path. He didn't want to be controlled or guided by anyone. But now, whether it was his father or not, it had happened. All he could do was face it. Phew! In the second world, Chun Hao directly turned into a stream of light and quickly headed for the Wuji star in Yang City. In the independent space of the aircraft, Tantai Lian, who was immersed in the joy of obtaining a great opportunity, making an amazing improvement, and reuniting with Chun Hao, excitedly activated the soul helmet the moment she could enter the second world. However, as soon as she entered, she screamed in surprise and joy, which then turned into endless anger, unwillingness, and worry. She was surprised because the moment she appeared, she wasn't in Yang City, but in a strange space. That alone would only surprise her, but she saw several familiar faces looking at her in surprise. Chun Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yuyu, Lung Ninghuan, Lung Ningle. Anger, fear, and worry were what she heard from Chun Shui and the others. As Chun Hao expected, Tantai Lian had been imprisoned. At this moment, in the second world, she had lost her freedom and was locked up with Chun Shui and the others. When she arrived at Xintian City, her real body would also be sent to Chun Shui and the others. However, Tantai Lian found that apart from herself, Chun Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yuyu, and the sisters were all very calm. So, you and here still in the aircraft, but in separate spaces? Chun Shui and the others understood Chun Hao and Tantai Lian's situation after a series of exchanges. Chun Shui asked, Sister Shui, what should we do? Why aren't you worried at all? What's the hurry? We're fine now. The only bad thing is that we can't meet or contact him. We're still fine after being locked up. We don't even have freedom in the second world. How can we be fine? Tantai Lian was confused and even suspected that Chun Shui and the others had been brainwashed or had accepted their fate. Sister Xiaoyan, don't you feel that the heavenly Tao's nomological laws here are 10 times or 100 times stronger than where we live? I think so, but so what? We can enjoy all the benefits in the second world for free. For example, the expensive cultivation field, simulated opponents, and some cultivation mystic realms that we can't easily encounter. Here, as long as we meet the conditions, we can choose. So what? Can this compensate us for 10 years of freedom? After all, this is the second world. The real improvement still depends on the real body. Xiaoyan, the treatment of our real bodies is also good. On the surface, we're locked up, but in fact, we're only restricted from contacting Chun Hao. Chun Shui said, What do you mean? Basically, Vast Universe Temple used us to test Chun Hao. In addition to restricting all contact and communication opportunities with Chun Hao, they gave us a lot of compensation. Vast Universe Temple. Tantai Lian's eyes widened in surprise when she heard this name. She was stunned for a few seconds before she thought of something and asked, That means all of this is fake and is deliberately done by Vast Universe Temple to temper Hao? No, it's all real. It's just that Vast Universe Temple intervened and sent their experts to take over us. Their reputation is to ensure our safety. In fact, even the Asianing Star Alliance's Law Enforcement Hall, or the ruler of Hongmeng, doesn't know our real situation. Our real bodies in the second world were compensated and temporarily enjoyed the treatment of Vast Universe Temple's disciples. This, Tantai Lian was truly shocked. This was far beyond her imagination, far beyond her understanding. This was Vast Universe Temple, an aloof and remote temple, an existence that stood at the apex of the entire vast universe galaxy, an existence that symbolized the highest authority and highest martial strength of humanity. But because of Chun Hao, they had actually given her such unimaginable compensation. Was this even possible? It was like a dream, but it really happened. Boom, boom, boom. It was also at this moment that the illusion that had imprisoned Tantai Lian for a period of time was finally completely broken. She completely woke up and believed that everything in front of her was real, because this was something that her subconscious would never have thought of. I'm awake. Tantai Lian said something that confused Chun Shui and the others. She immediately asked, Does Hao know our situation? It's impossible for him to know. The only thing he knows is that the temple will guarantee our safety in cultivation. He doesn't know anything else. I estimate that when you reach Xintian City, you won't even have the chance to see him and will come to join us. End. Requesting monthly votes. Requesting subscriptions. Begging for recommendation votes. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 617. If he's worried about us and does something crazy, what should we do? Tantai Lian asked worriedly. That won't happen. Since the Divine Temple has comforted us, they'll naturally take him into consideration. They must have assured him of our safety. Chun Shui said, This is an opportunity that the Divine Temple has given him, and it's also an opportunity for us. 10 years to let us enjoy the treatment of a Divine Temple disciple. It's definitely generous. Moreover, if we can meet the Divine Temple's requirements after 10 years, we'll be qualified to become a true Divine Temple disciple and be with him. Little Lian has also obtained a great opportunity and ascended to the peak of the advanced human immortal stage. We'll all have to work hard. Chun Shui said softly as she sensed Tantai Lian's aura. In another independent space in the second world, Heavenly Venerable Yuanru, who had almost vomited blood and died from anger and was on the verge of collapse, had also been comforted by the divine temple. Therefore, he had long since immersed himself in closed-door cultivation with peace of mind. Although two things still worried him, he was powerless to interfere now. Moreover, he had received the basic conditions promised by the divine temple, so he could only let things be. First, after he was isolated, there was no time for him to hand over the management rights of the Wuji Star. He had no way of controlling who would take over the Wuji Star. Fortunately, the divine temple had promised not to let the Wuji Star fall in these 10 years. Second, Chun Hao. This worried him even more than the first matter. The divine temple had intervened because they had taken a liking to Chun Hao. These 10 years were a test for Chun Hao. But what if Chun Hao could not control his emotions and did something impulsive? He could sacrifice himself, but he did not want Chun Hao to sacrifice himself for him and the girls. That was the hope of the Wuji Star, its future. If Chun Hao accepted the conditions and fought now, Chen Shui and the others would naturally be saved. However, it was impossible for Chun Hao to survive. Chun Hao was strong, but he could not compete with a heavenly immortal in the short term. After all, he was only at the peak of the advanced human immortal stage. Fortunately, Yuanru, Heavenly Lord, believed that the sacred temple's actions should be able to appease Chun Hao. At the very least, he wouldn't impulsively choose to commit suicide to save him and the girls. However, Heavenly Venerable Yuanru did not know how awesome the compensation the girls received was. If he knew, these two worries could be completely discarded. The temple valued Chun Hao so much. How could they send Chun Hao to his death? How could they let Chun Hao's planet fall? In the second world, Chun Hao's figure appeared as fast as lightning in the Yang City's encampment on the Infinity Star. Chun Hao, you're back. The two Earth Immortal Realm old men standing guard at the entrance of the palace said in surprise when they saw Chun Hao. Their expressions instantly became a little strange, and one of them looked at Chun Hao with an even more unfriendly gaze. Sir, I would like to apply for the use of the Level 1 cultivation room today. Chun Hao was about to say sir, but the words were stuck in his throat. He said calmly, and as he spoke, he was about to step through the door. He had already expected that there might be a problem. This time, he came to verify his thoughts and see who was in control of the Infinity Star, but he didn't expect it to be so serious. Fortunately, the temple intervened. If they didn't, what would the consequences be? Chun Hao didn't dare to imagine. Stop. Chun Hao, right? You probably don't know that the Infinity Star has cut ties with you, right? You and Heavenly Venerable Yuanru did something stupid that almost destroyed the Infinity Star, and only you can bear the consequences. This is no longer a place where you can come. Please leave immediately. What? Cut ties? Chun Hao suddenly looked at the old man who spoke. Who made the decision? Of course, it's the new ruler of the Infinity Star, Heavenly Venerable Qin Yang. I admit that you're a genius, but the Infinity Star doesn't want a genius who will only bring disaster to the Infinity Star. Heavenly Venerable Qin Yang. Lu Qingyang? Chun Hao frowned slightly, and information about Heavenly Venerable Qin Yang appeared in his mind. The first time, when Heavenly Venerable Yuanru brought him here to see the Infinity Star, they met by chance. Chun Hao had a deep impression of him. First, Heavenly Venerable Qin Yang's attitude towards him was cold, completely different from the other's enthusiasm. Second, Heavenly Venerable Yuanru also introduced Heavenly Venerable Qin Yang to Chun Hao in detail. Lu Qingyang was more than 1,000 years older than Heavenly Venerable Yuanru. His talent was mediocre, but his luck was very good. Even Heavenly Venerable Yuanru didn't have the confidence to win against him. Moreover, because of his mediocre talent, the Infinity Star didn't pay attention to him at first. Although the Infinity Star compensated him as his cultivation improved, he still took it to heart and felt it was unfair. However, when Heavenly Venerable Yuanru mentioned it, Chun Hao didn't think there was anything wrong with Lu Qingyang. Anyone would feel resentful, right? However, Chun Hao was surprised at this moment. How could Lu Qingyang control the Wuji Star? Is that so? Who are you in the Wuji Demon Palace? Chen Hao looked coldly at the old man who spoke. It doesn't matter who I am. I'm just carrying out heavenly venerable Qin Yang's orders. Please leave. The old man, who was about to fly into a rage, seemed to be frightened by Chen Hao's aura. He actually avoided Chen Hao's eyes and didn't continue to be arrogant. This little brother Chen Hao, heavenly venerable Qin Yang, has given the order to temporarily draw a line with you. I'm sorry. Another old man with a strange expression suddenly transmitted a message to Chen Hao. You should leave first. The Wuji star has changed. If you appear now, you'll only be asking for trouble. Sai, Senior, I want to know the details. Can you tell me? Chen Hao transmitted a message. All right. The old man's expression did not change. On the surface, he looked at Chen Hao like a tiger eyeing its prey and blocked Chen Hao's path into the palace. However, he quickly and concisely told Chen Hao about the recent changes. After heavenly venerable Yuan Ru and the girls were suddenly attacked by the Alliance's law enforcement hall, all information was cut off. Then, the higher-ups of the Alliance announced the news. The higher-ups of the Wuji Star were shocked. Heavenly venerable Yuan Ru was temporarily in charge of the Wuji Demon Palace. Now that heavenly venerable Yuan Ru was imprisoned, the Wuji Star had to nominate an expert who could control the situation to take charge. Most people thought that the Wuji Demon Palace should be the eldest disciple of the Wuji Demon Palace, which was Chen Hao and heavenly venerable Yuan Ru's eldest senior brother. This was what everyone expected. However, to everyone's surprise, the result of the election of the higher-ups of the Wuji Star, which was the heavenly immortal experts, turned out to be heavenly venerable Qin Yang, who obtained the authority to control the Wuji Star with an absolute advantage. The reason was that he had the support of many heavenly immortal experts, led by the palace master of the Wuji Demon Palace. Although such an outcome was unexpected, it was still acceptable to everyone. After all, Lu Qingyang, who had great luck, was ranked at the top of the list in terms of contribution to the Wuji Star. His strength was also unfathomable. Even heavenly venerable Yuan Ru was inferior to him. This result was also recognized by the Asian Ing Star Alliance. But now, as long as one was not blind, they could see that heavenly venerable Qin Yang had obtained such high support because of the palace master of the Wuji Demon Palace. Rather than saying that they supported heavenly venerable Qin Yang, it was more accurate to say that they supported the palace master of the Wuji Demon Palace, Guan Nanchao. Many heavenly immortal experts were willing to give face to Guan Nanchao because of the resources and authority he controlled on the Wuji Star. Secondly, many heavenly immortals had received benefits and promises from forces not powerful on the Wuji Star. Thirdly, because of the terrifying talent that Bailey Ning Bing had displayed and the fact that she had stepped into the top sect of the vast universe galaxy, the Everlasting Sect. The Everlasting Sect was ranked 4th among the top 10 forces in the entire vast universe galaxy. Although everyone knew that Chen Hao's potential was greater than Bailey Ning Bing's, and that it would not be a problem for him to enter the top sect of the vast universe galaxy and even join the Divine Temple, which was a pinnacle existence in the future. However, Chen Hao was in big trouble, and it was a big trouble where he would most likely die. No one believed that Chen Hao would be able to escape this crisis. The reason was simple. Apart from the Asian Ing Star Alliance, no one knew that Chen Hao had received the protection of the Divine Temple. Or rather, it was an assessment. In fact, apart from the women, Heavenly Lord Yuan Ru and Long Ting, only the law enforcement team of the Asian Ing Star Alliance and all the higher-ups of the Asian Ing Star Alliance who had received benefits from the Divine Temple knew that Chen Hao had received protection from the Divine Temple. As for the ruler of the Asian Ing Star, Yin Baitian, Supreme Hongmeng, who was also aware of this matter and had readily acquiesced to it, he had also been caught off guard by the Divine Temple's intervention. Moreover, after this incident, Yin Baitian had not appeared again. No one knew where he had gone. They only knew that all matters of the Asian Ing Star, big or small, were being handled by one of the top forces on the Asian Ing Star, the invincible golden immortal Li Jiuyang, the sect master of the Sky Mist sect, who was fully in charge. Phew! It seems that things are much more complicated than I thought. After leaving the station on the Wuji Star, Chunhao returned to his empty and quiet residence. He was still unable to calm down. He forcibly suppressed his anger. He knew very well that even if he killed his way into the station on the Wuji Star, what could he do? He would only be humiliating himself. He could easily kill the Earth Immortals guarding the gate, but he would not be able to withstand a single blow from a Sky Immortal. Although there were no laws restricting him in the second world, that was only for ordinary places. If he were in a busy city on any other planet, he would be punished. Moreover, Chunhao did not need to reveal his true strength. That would not be wise. With my talent, under normal circumstances, the ruler of the Asian Ing Star, Yin Baitian, should have regarded me highly and protected me. But not only did this sanctimonious fellow not protect me, he even agreed with the Valley Master of the Valley of Happiness and allowed the Alliance's law enforcement team to act. And now he's disappeared. Is it because of me? It can't be that serious. He's an elite from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, one of the top beings of the human race. The Divine Temple has no reason to punish him for something as trivial as me. Chunhao could not figure it out. Forget it. Anyway, I've got the gist of the situation. Now, what I need to do is to improve my strength as much as I can. I'm not good at writing conspiratorial plots, but I have to write them. I'm writing them very slowly. Wu Shan continued. There will be more chapters tonight, but I reckon there will only be 3 chapters for today. It's the last day of double monthly votes. There must be more monthly votes. Vote for Wu Shan. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 618. Phew. I was actually frightened by a guy who was destined to be a dead man. After Chunhao left, the old man, who had said that Chunhao and Heavenly Lord Yuanru had done something stupid and merciless, but was later affected by Chunhao's aura, heaved a long sigh of relief. He was vexed. He was a direct descendant of the Limitless Demon Palace. The changes on the Limitless Star had broken the balance that had always been there, allowing the Limitless Demon Palace to rise to the top. Although Heavenly Lord Qingyang was in control, Guan Nanchao had the final say in everything now. In addition, Bailey Ningbing had stepped into the 4th top sect in the vast universe galaxy, the Everlasting Sect. This made him think that the Limitless Star would belong to the Limitless Demon Palace from now on. Bailey Ningbing, who had displayed terrifying talent, would definitely become the pillar of the Limitless Star in the future. She would also be the existence that would save the Limitless Star 50 years later. Of course, the most important thing was that he didn't think that Chunhao could survive this crisis. In fact, it wasn't just him. Heavenly Lord Qingyang, Guan Nanchao, and all the other Heavenly Immortal experts who supported them didn't think that Chunhao could survive this crisis. Although Chunhao's talent was very strong, much stronger than Bailey Ningbing's, he would still die. After all, Chunhao was only in the human immortal realm now. How could he defeat a peak late-stage Heavenly Immortal expert in 10 years? In the entire vast universe galaxy, no one could advance from the human immortal realm to the Heavenly Immortal realm in just 10 years. Secondly, Heavenly Lord Yuanru and Chunhao had offended the top faction of the Asian Ing planet, the Valley of Happiness. They had killed their number 1 genius disciple, Mo Xiaoji, who was the owner of the sacred artifact, the North Sea soft armor that Chunhao had obtained. Although they had asked for it, who could the weak, limitless star seek justice from? Thirdly, and most importantly, the Valley of Happiness had the support of the Asian Ing Planet Alliance. Without this, even Guan Nanchao and Lu Qingyang wouldn't have dared to drive Chunhao out of the limitless star so arrogantly, let alone kill Chunhao. After all, with Chunhao's heaven-defying talent, even a master of the Ing planet should pay attention to him and take care of him. Moreover, as long as Chunhao immediately joined a top sect in the vast universe galaxy, he would be able to survive this calamity. But the intervention of the Law Enforcement Hall of the Alliance clearly showed that the ruler of the Yang planet didn't care about Chunhao at all and allowed his actions. Guan Nanchao to the limitless star. As for giving Chun Hao 10 years, in the eyes of Guan Nanchao, Lu Qingyang, and the others, it was just the master of the Ying planet, giving an explanation to the top forces in the vast universe galaxy that had taken a fancy to Chun Hao. After all, killing such a rare genius would be a loss to the human tribe. For various reasons, the old man hadn't taken Chun Hao seriously at first. However, when Chun Hao had looked him in the eye and asked him which faction he belonged to, the old man, an expert at the peak of the late Earth celestial stage, had been scared witless. At this thought, the old man sent a message to report Chun Hao's appearance. What the old man didn't know was that the other old man had sent a voice transmission to Chun Hao because he had also been intimidated by Chun Hao's aura. He had a vague feeling that after 10 years, Chun Hao might really have a chance, even if it was very slim. Because of this, he had chosen to tell Chun Hao what most people on the Limitless Star knew. It was nothing to him, but if Chun Hao and heavenly venerable Yuanru could turn things around in 10 years, at least this little bit of good karma would be beneficial. Has he finally appeared? In the second world, in Vast Universe City, which symbolized the peak of the vast universe galaxy, there was a huge group of magnificent palaces. In a high-level cultivation room that ordinary cultivators would never be able to enter, Bailey Ning Bing, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened her eyes and muttered to herself, "Humph, although you'll definitely die in 10 years, I'll let you know before you die that I, Bailey Ning Bing, am not someone you can ignore." At this moment, she was a disciple of the Eternal Life sect, which was ranked 4th in the vast universe galaxy. In the second world, she could already enjoy the benefits of the Eternal Life sect. Her real body was also on the way to Vast Universe Star. With her talent, it wouldn't be a problem for her to enter the #1 sect. It was just that the Eternal Life sect was more suitable for her talent. Moreover, her goal wasn't as simple as the Eternal Life sect. She believed that it wouldn't be long before she met the requirements to enter Vast Universe Temple and become a truly eye-catching existence. 10 years from now, kneel down and beg me. Perhaps I can let you live. Bailey Ning Bing spoke with confidence and anticipation. Originally, she had absolute confidence in surpassing Chun Hao. But as the talent that Chun Hao displayed became more and more abnormal, even if she didn't want to admit it, she knew that it was impossible to surpass him in terms of talent. At least, it was impossible in a short period of time. Otherwise, if it was possible, she would definitely step forward now and ruthlessly slap his face. But she didn't want Chun Hao to die. At least, she didn't want Chun Hao to die before she ruthlessly trampled Chun Hao beneath her feet. She even hoped to see the scene of Chun Hao being forced to fight an expert at the peak of the heavenly immortal realm 10 years later. It would be best if he was trampled to the point of death. Then, she could rely on her identity as a disciple of the temple to ask the expert to spare his life. She believed that as long as she turned him into a cripple, she would still be able to obtain this face. And she would take the crippled Chun Hao as a slave and let him watch her astonishing growth and status become stronger and stronger. Only in this way could she vent her hatred. "Grandpa, remember to send me all the news about him. Also, think of a way to send him all the news about me." Bailey Ning Bing, who had almost reached a perverted state of mind, connected to Guan Nanchao's call and said, "Little Bing, Grandpa has something to say, but I don't know if I should say it." Guan Nanchao looked at his arrogant granddaughter and slightly frowned as he said softly. Although he was Bailey Ning Bing's grandfather, but now that Bailey Ning Bing's status had risen, even as a grandfather, he had to speak more politely. "Grandpa, if you still want to talk about him, then don't. No one can ignore me. Time and time again, I humbled myself and made him, but he completely ignored me and even humiliated me. This is not something that can be resolved with death. I want to make him regret this. Little Bing, Grandpa won't talk about him. But now that you've become a disciple of the Eternal Life sect, Grandpa thinks that you should focus on your cultivation without any distractions. Don't fuss over every little thing with someone who is destined to die and has completely surpassed you. This will become an inner demon." "Inner demon? Grandpa, don't you think that he's already my inner demon?" My biggest inner demon. All right. Guan Nanchao helplessly ended the call. But what Bailey Ningbing didn't know was that at this moment, Guan Nanchao was very worried. He knew his granddaughter very well. Ever since she was young, she had always been a blessed girl. Not only in martial arts, but in all aspects, she had a strong desire to win and never admitted defeat. Originally, he was also clear about the conflict between Bailey Ningbing and Chun Hao. But he never thought that it would be this serious. He thought that after this incident, Bailey Ningbing would let go of everything. After all, Chun Hao was destined to die, so what was there to fuss about? But he was wrong. No one knew that the decision to expel Chun Hao from the Limitless Star was ordered by Bailey Ningbing. This was something he deliberately concealed. According to Bailey Ningbing's intention, he wanted to clearly tell Chun Hao that it was her doing. But in the end, Guan Nanchao still stopped this matter. Because his heart was uneasy, he felt even more uneasy. He wasn't afraid of Chun Hao, who was destined to die, taking revenge, but he was afraid of Bailey Ningbing's bone-deep hatred for Chun Hao. And now, after hearing Bailey Ningbing's words, Guan Nanchao was even more worried. Just because of rejection, just because she ignored him, could she hate him to this extent? If she hated a person, then that person was destined to die. What was there to hate? Maybe she can only be rid of it after that kid dies. Or maybe little Bing can meet someone more outstanding. That's her true inner demon. 20 days later, 200 days later in the second world, the Alliance's aircraft finally broke through the space barrier and entered the Ying planet. At this time, Chun Hao, who had cut off all communication and was immersed in enlightenment, often let out a sigh of relief and left the second world. Brother Hao, Long Ting tried her best to smile and said in a relaxed tone, are you going to take responsibility for me? Take responsibility for you? Take responsibility for what? Chun Hao was slightly taken aback. You've seen, touched, and kissed me. Don't you want to take responsibility? You take me with you. Let's elope. I'll leave the Ying planet with you. Ahem. Chun Hao coughed awkwardly. He looked at Long Ting, who was blushing slightly and seemed to have mustered up a lot of courage, and said, Sister Ting, I appreciate your kindness. I know you want to help me, but I can't accept this. How could Chun Hao not understand Long Ting's meaning? She said she wanted him to take responsibility, but it was nothing more than to help him get through this crisis. After obtaining Guanu's memories, he already knew the amazing benefits of dual cultivation with Long Ting. Besides, Chun Hao also believed that with Long Ting's help, his strength and realm would definitely improve faster. But this was not what he wanted, nor was it in line with his path. More importantly, this was unfair to Long Ting. Of course, most importantly, Chun Hao was confident that he could get through this crisis with his own strength, or rather, pass the test of the Divine Temple. Therefore, he had no reason to wrong Long Ting and embarrass the Long family prematurely. Why? Don't you want to take responsibility? I want to leave with you. Don't be so irresponsible. What you're doing now is not good for you, for me, or for the Long family. Besides, this is the test of the Divine Temple for me. Your path of cultivation is not suitable for us to train together. This is not the right time, and I don't want to be sneaky. Don't worry about me. I know what I'm doing. Chun Hao said. He was very grateful for Long Ting's decision. Why did he have to meet such a good girl? Not to mention that he already had feelings for Long Ting. Even if he didn't, he was about to have them now. To be continued. Please forgive me. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for it at Chidian. Come. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 619. When the Alliance's aircraft landed in the huge square of the base of the Alliance in Xintian City, as Chun Hao had expected, Tantalian's seat was already empty after the independent space disappeared. He didn't even have a chance to meet her. Chun Hao, Long Ting, and Long Yi stepped out of the aircraft and left the Alliance's encampment under the calm but cold gaze of the celestial immortal steward of the aircraft. Theory? It was useless. Rather than looking for trouble, it was better to leave quietly. There would be a day when he would use his own fist to crush everything that had happened. Chun Hao did not hide his aura. nor did he change his appearance. He just calmly stepped out of the Alliance's encampment with Long Ting and Long Yi. The moment he stepped out of the encampment, Chun Hao's powerful soul perception clearly sensed several divine senses locking onto him. Although they were well hidden, he still felt them. Not everyone knew about the Divine Temple's interference. To be exact, the news was kept to a very small extent. How could the Valley of Happiness, the demonic ant planet, and all the people who wanted him dead not know about Chun Hao's return? How could they not come to investigate? Although the Alliance had issued a 10-year order, it did not mean that they would let Chun Hao cultivate in peace for 10 years. The higher-ups had their own policies, and the subordinates had their own countermeasures. It would be better if they could resolve this quietly in advance. How could Chun Hao not have thought of this? This was also the reason why Chun Hao had decided to leave the Ying planet quietly. He had told Long Ting about this in advance on the aircraft. This was also the reason why Long Ting had said that she wanted to elope with Chun Hao before landing. Long Yi had also heard the news from Long Ting. Therefore, the three of them walked very slowly, and none of them hid their identities. Long Ting, who had regained her original appearance, did not need to pretend to be Chun Hao's cultivation partner. However, she was still holding on to Chun Hao's arm. They were closer and closer than when they had pretended to be cultivation partners. Chun Hao refused her help, so she had to help him in any way she could. She wanted to tell everyone that she, Long Ting, had an extraordinary relationship with Chun Hao. She wanted everyone to know that to deal with Chun Hao, they had to be prepared to go against the Long family. As for Long Yi, the Long Yi who possessed a resplendent light in Xintian City, at this moment, he was walking on the other side of Chun Hao. His footsteps were intentionally or unintentionally half a step behind Chun Hao. He naturally understood his sister's thoughts, and he had clearly expressed his position. Chun Hao. Phew. The one who pretended to be Long Ting's Dao companion was actually Chun Hao. I didn't expect it to be him. Looks like they're not faking it. They really do have a close relationship. At the same time, Mo Xiaocong and many other people who had already determined Long Yi and Long Ting's identities walked out of the aircraft. At this moment, they basically recognized Chun Hao when they saw the young man whose arm Long Ting was intimately holding and Long Ting who was walking beside him. Although they had never seen Chun Hao in person, Chun Hao's appearance was not unfamiliar to them due to the abnormal preliminary test results that had caused a sensation in the entire vast universe galaxy. At this moment, these people were even more envious. Even proud geniuses like Mo Xiaocong and Wei Wuxuang could only be envious and jealous. It was beyond their expectations that Chun Hao could win the heart of Long Ting, the number one beauty and the number one witch of Xintian City, but they were sincerely convinced. After all, if there was anyone more outstanding than Guan Nu on the entire Asianing planet, it would probably be Chun Hao, who had unlimited potential. Who could not be convinced? Of course, they could only be envious and jealous for a short while, because at this moment, none of them knew what had happened to Chun Hao. In fact, if Chun Hao had not encountered such a situation, they would not have been able to see this scene. Chun Hao had not done this deliberately to bask in the glory of the Long family. He just wanted to blind these people's dog eyes, swagger into the Long family, and then quietly disappear. Chun Hao believed that as long as the person who came to monitor him was not Daluo Jingxian, he would be able to leave quietly. However, Chun Hao was not sure whether the other party would send Daluo Jingxian. Therefore, he had to endure in the Long family for a few more days. Brother Chun. It took a long time to describe, but in fact it only took a short while. Just as Chun Hao stepped out of the gate of the Alliance's station, a familiar voice with a hint of excitement suddenly appeared. It rushed quickly towards Chun Hao. When Chun Hao heard the voice, his calm expression suddenly turned into a pained frown. Long Ting and Long Yi also frowned as they looked at the newcomer and the experts behind him. Then they looked at Chun Hao. Although they did not say anything, their eyes were clearly asking, "How do you know this kind of person? Are you familiar with him?" The newcomer was none other than Shimin Feng, one of the 5 great families. He was famous in Xintian City for being a playboy. Chun Hao stared at Shimin Feng with a conflicted expression, unable to speak. kick him away, but it was obvious that he had risked universal condemnation to report to him. Brother Chun, I'm sorry. You must take care of yourself. Don't let anyone harm you. I, Shimin Feng, swear that the Shimin family will withdraw. This time, the Shimin family participated, but we are not the mastermind. 10 years, I still have time. These are for you. This is the only thing I can do now. Shimin Feng stared at Chun Hao and transmitted his voice. At the same time, he handed over a spirit artifact storage ring that he had already prepared to Chun Hao. In the future, if you need anything, just tell me. As long as I can get it, I will give it to you. I believe that you will be able to survive this calamity. After seeing you, I will set off for Vast Universe Star. I don't believe that no one will care about a genius like you, who is famous in Vast Universe Star. Listening to Shimin Feng's sad, angry, and worried eyes, and that emotional transmission, Chun Hao was torn between life and death. Should he be angry or happy? Should he cry or laugh? Suddenly, he felt that this guy was quite pitiful. To be so affectionate, it was simply touching. Unfortunately, he had used the wrong person. Chun Hao was not surprised that Shimin Feng knew about his return. Perhaps all the forces involved in this matter would know about it. As one of the direct descendants of the Shimin family, it was not difficult for Shimin Feng to know about it. However, to appear in front of him as soon as he returned, it would definitely take a lot of effort, and it would definitely be something that went against the family. In addition, Shimin Feng handed over a spirit treasure storage ring. Needless to say, it was Shimin Feng's collection of things useful for cultivation. What else could Chun Hao do? Thank you for reminding me. Keep the things, I don't need them. Also, don't waste time on me. We're not the same kind of people. Not now. Not in the future, and never will be. I like women, understand? You can go. Chun Hao considered his words and transmitted his voice in an extremely cold voice. After that, he pulled Long Ting up into the sky and turned into a stream of light. He did not give Shimin Feng any room to maneuver. Brother Chun, I didn't mean that. No, I really didn't. Shimin Feng looked up to the sky and screamed. He was heartbroken and heartbroken. Sigh, what a pitiful guy, pitiful. What did you just say? What did he give you? It seems that your relationship is not ordinary. Long Ting asked curiously. Long Yi also stared at Chun Hao and said, this guy is a typical foppish disciple. He commits all kinds of evil and often does some shameless things. Brother Chun, how did you come into contact with him? I know this guy has. Cough, cough. Brother Long, don't say any more. This has nothing to do with me. If this guy did not help me desperately, I would have kicked him into a pig's head. Brother, what does he have? Long Ting looked at the strange expressions of Long Yi and Chun Hao and asked confusedly. Instinctively, the two of them were hiding something. Ha! It's nothing. Brother Chin's talent is amazing, and his appearance has reached the realm of men and women. Luckily, I don't have this kind of hobby, and I'm not a woman. Otherwise, sister, you might have a big fight with me. Ha! Long Ting's eyes widened. She was stunned for a full 2 seconds before she suddenly looked at Chun Hao. Soon after, a sound was emitted as a lovely laugh sounded. Chun Hao, on the other hand, was so depressed that black lines appeared on his face. However, the appearance of Shimin Feng made the three of them feel more relaxed. That guy has an ambiguous relationship with Long Ting, and it's in front of Long Yi. Long Yi obviously has a good relationship with him. Could it be that he and Long Ting are going to be Dao companions and have obtained the approval of the Long family? He's entered the Long family. Could it be that this guy is hiding in the Long family and not coming out? If that's the case, we really don't have much of a chance. Huh? If that's the case, why do we need a chance? We want to secretly make a move because we're worried about what kind of heaven-defying opportunity he will encounter in 10 years. If he stays in the Long family, no matter how abnormal his talent is, he won't be able to do anything in 10 years. That's true. However, I really don't understand. We've already established relations with the Alliance, and Yin Baitian Supreme has also agreed to our proposal. Why should we give him 10 years? With Yin Baitian Supreme's status, there's no reason for him to have so many scruples. Besides, what can others say? This is the internal law of the Ying planet. No matter how talented he is, he has to abide by it as long as he violates it, right? Who knows? Our Valley Master wanted to talk to Yin Baitian Supreme and see if he could delay it for 10 years. However, Yin Baitian Supreme has temporarily left the Ying planet for some unknown reason. Li Jiang, the sect master of the Sky Mist sect, who is temporarily acting for him, doesn't dare to change Yin Baitian Supreme's decision. Oh, forget it. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's report the news. We'll keep watch for a few more days. Let the two guys from the demonic ant planet keep watch by themselves. I don't have time to waste here. Damn it, he's just a human celestial, and we're at the peak of the late stage of the heaven celestial realm. How good can his concealment skills be? This is making a mountain out of a molehill. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for it at Chidian. Come. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 620. That's not right. This kid's incredible results in the preliminary test can't be measured by an ordinary human celestial master. Moreover, the information from the demonic ant star clearly stated that this kid's concealment skills are very good. Look, isn't the other heavenly celestial master from the Wuji star by Huoyao? They sent a heavenly celestial master. That's enough to explain the problem. That's true. This time, Guan Nanchao and Lu Qingyang took control of the Wuji star with the help of the Happy Valley and the Shiman family. Ha! We should be able to get some high-quality slaves. Ha, that's for sure. Although the Wuji star is unlikely to become a slave planet because of Bailey Ning Bing, the conditions that Guan Nanchao promised us must be fulfilled. We didn't force him to do this. So what if we forced him? Bailey Ning Bing still needs a long time to grow. It'll take at least 100 years for her to become a Daluo Jinxian. As for the Supreme of Hongming, although there's hope, it's still very slim. Do you think she can suppress the Happy Valley? Guan Nanchao is well aware of this matter. He will only give us more, not less. Let's report the news first. When the two heavenly celestial masters from the Happy Valley sent back the news that Chunhao had entered the Long family and seemed to be having an affair with Long Ting, the heavenly celestial masters from the demonic ant star and the Wuji star also sent back the news. There was no doubt that the purpose of the Happy Valley and the demonic ant star monitoring Chunhao was naturally to wait for Chunhao to go out for experience and find a suitable opportunity to deal with him in advance. Bai Huoyao from the Wuji star just wanted to get all the news about Chunhao and report it to Guan Nanchao. When the Happy Valley and the demonic ant star received the news, they were a little surprised. After all, although the Long family wasn't one of the 5 great families, it was a difficult bone to chew. To be precise, it was a bone that they didn't dare to chew. But as the two old men said, they didn't take it to heart. At most, Chunhao would just hide in the Long family and not come out. They didn't believe that the Long family, which had so few people, would send experts to protect Chunhao when he went out to train. When Guan Nanchao received this news, especially that Chunhao and Long Ting had an ambiguous relationship, and that they might have already confirmed their relationship as Dao companions, he pondered for a few minutes before deciding to tell this news to Bailey Ning Bing. The reason was very simple. Bailey Ning Bing had always been picky when it came to Dao companions, and she was extremely possessive. Just like when she wanted to obtain the eternal laws that Chunhao comprehended, she intended to kill Qin Shui and the others. Now that Chunhao obtained news of Long Ting, even though it would infuriate Bailey Ning Bing, it would probably make Bailey Ning Bing detest Chunhao even more. As long as this hatred became true hatred, pure hatred, then 10 years later, as long as Chunhao died, Bailey Ning Bing would be completely free, without any inner demons. Chi, boom, boom. Unfortunately, what Guan Nanchao didn't know was that when Bailey Ning Bing got the news, she went crazy and attacked crazily in the cultivation room. The boundless hatred became even more terrifying. Anger burned her soul, almost driving her insane. Guan Nanchao had completely underestimated and overlooked an extremely important point. That was, Chunhao had rejected Bailey Ning Bing and ignored her. However, although Bailey Ning Bing hated him to the extreme, there was still something that she could comfort about. That was, Chun Hao ignored her because he already had several Tao companions, or because he was pressured by his Tao companions. He didn't really ignore her and think that she was inferior to his Tao companions. But now, Chun Hao actually had an ambiguous relationship with another woman, as if they were Tao companions. What did this mean? The last bit of Bailey Ning Bing's extreme self-esteem was completely shattered by this news. Chun Hao was ignoring her, looking down on 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 her. It was undeniable that this woman was an unreasonable lunatic. It was also undeniable that once a lunatic's paranoia reached the level of a lunatic, she could basically explode in a small universe. Fortune and misfortune, no one could say for sure. In the future, if she could have an epiphany, this paranoia would bring her unparalleled glory. If it was a mystery, she would be doomed eternally. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. In a cultivation room of the Long family, Chun Hao sat cross-legged, suddenly enveloped by the blue mystic fire. His completely naked body was filled with an explosive energy, and the aura of the sevenfold mystic fire filled the entire cultivation room. On the blazing flame planet, Chun Hao had obtained a great opportunity and inheritance with Tantile Yin. His body and strength had been greatly improved, especially in the understanding and application of the fire property, which had surpassed the Earth celestial stage and reached the height of the heaven celestial stage. The only difference was that he couldn't use more mystic fire energy due to the restriction of his cultivation level. Moreover, although he had comprehended the ninefold mystic fire, he couldn't use it. His limit was the sevenfold mystic fire, which was also restricted by his cultivation level. However, Chun Hao didn't care. At this moment, his real body was just refining and refining his body with the mystic fire. In the second world, he was immersed in learning and comprehending various mystic fire magic principles. Although this wasn't Chun Hao's Tao, since he had obtained this great opportunity, he had to maximize its power. Whether he used it or not was one thing. Whether he could comprehend it or not was another thing. Moreover, through this kind of comprehension and learning, Chun Hao could also absorb the strengths of others and integrate them into his own Tao. It seems that the sevenfold mystic fire is my limit. For ordinary practitioners, only those at the heaven celestial stage can comprehend and use the sevenfold mystic fire. I haven't been recognized by the mystic fire, and I don't have the fire spirit body. It's already good that I can do this. However, these blaze crystal marrow should be of some use, right? Chun Hao heaved a long sigh and slowly opened his eyes. With a flash between his eyebrows, pieces of supreme gray blaze crystal marrow appeared in front of him. During the 2 months in the blazing flame star, Chun Hao had been searching for Tantile Yin non-stop. With his tough body, he wasn't afraid of the blazing flame eye. He had entered many places to investigate. Although he didn't deliberately collect the blaze crystal marrow, the amount he collected was incomparable to that of ordinary people. Finally, when he entered the blaze, where Tantile Yin had triggered the great opportunity, he collected many supreme gray blaze crystal marrows. The blaze crystal marrow was a natural spiritual object of heaven and earth formed after thousands of years, or even longer in the blaze eye. It contained the purest mystic fire energy and mysteries. The supreme grade blaze crystal marrow contained the energy and mysteries of the ninefold mystic fire. This kind of blaze crystal marrow could only be formed in an environment with a sevenfold mystic fire. Of course, it was not that it could not be condensed in an environment with a lower level of mystic flame. It was just that the time required was too long. In addition, in an environment with a lower level of mystic flame, ordinary cultivators could reach it. How could they give it too long of a time to grow and condense? Swoosh! Chun Hao activated his strong mind and a stream of mystic fire energy to trigger the blaze crystal marrow, and directly poured it into a piece of supreme grade blaze crystal marrow. Hiss! Boom! In an instant, streaks of pure, ninefold mystical fire flowed into Chun Hao's body along his meridians. The sevenfold mystical fire that was burning around his body suddenly turned into a faint blue ninefold mystical fire with a boom. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The mystic fire burned his body and mind. Chunhao didn't use any energy to resist it. Instead, he endured the endless pain. No one could imagine how crazy Chunhao was, but such a method of cultivation was nothing to Chunhao. Not to mention the huge pressure Chunhao had to bear on the 10-year period. Even if this didn't happen, Chunhao would still make the same choice. On the path of cultivation, if one wasn't ruthless to himself, how could he stand out? Since stepping into the door of martial arts, when had Chunhao not been ruthless to himself? His achievements today were not only due to the abnormal fusion of souls, the mysterious ancient spirit treasure in his mind, and the spirit of the device, but more importantly, Chunhao's hard work. A genius could only become an expert with 1% of talent and 99% of hard work. Otherwise, no matter how talented he was, he would eventually become mediocre. Long family. In the cultivation room of Long Ting's courtyard, a pill furnace that was 10 meters tall and emitted an ancient aura. Its surface was covered with mysterious runes, and it was emitting a thick medicinal fragrance. Long Ting sat cross-legged in front of the pill furnace. The true essence in her body was activated to the extreme, and it was burning fiercely under the pill furnace. Long Ting's beautiful little face was covered with sparkling and translucent beads of sweat. Her beautiful hair was drenched in sweat as if she had just come out of a bath. 10 days. It was the same 10 days, but Long Ting, who had always been lazy, had actually tempered for 10 whole days without sleep or rest. There were already 5 exquisite jade bottles behind her. These were the results of her 10 days of hard work. Each jade bottle contained an elixir that contained her heart's blood essence. Now, it was the 6th elixir, which was also the highest grade elixir she could refine. She knew that Chunhao would leave soon, so she had to finish what she had to do before Chunhao left. Buzz. Finally, when Long Ting exhausted the last bit of energy, the pill furnace emitted a buzzing vibration. The originally strong medicinal fragrance instantly turned into a faint fragrance. Long Ting didn't dare to hesitate. She quickly opened the pill furnace and placed a blood-red and translucent elixir that was as alluring as a cherry into the 6th jade bottle. Phew! It's finally done. Long Ting wiped the sweat off her face. Although her face was pale, she revealed a complacent and sweet smile. No matter what, I have to let him eat it at a fixed time. If there's a chance, then I can only take this step. It's fine if I don't use it, but I can't use it without preparing. Chunhao, I'll bear it with you. Ha ha. Long Ting laughed innocently again. She took out a translucent bottle and looked at the blood essence that shone with a faint golden light. This was the blood essence that Long Ting had requested from Chunhao. It was just that she hadn't had the time to refine the elixir that contained Chunhao's blood essence. Part 1. To be continued. If you like this work, I welcome you to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 621. Crunch, crunch, splash. Splash. In a spurt of energy, Long Ting, who had not eaten, drunk, or slept for 10 whole days, was now soaking naked in the bathtub. With one hand, she soaked in the water condensed from special spiritual herbs, and with the other, she held up a pile of precious spiritual fruits. Although her cherry mouth was not big, it exploded with astonishing potential as a foodie. Her eating speed was so fast that no one would have thought that Long Ting, the #1 beauty of Xintian City, would eat like this, especially when she was soaking in the bath. In a short 5 minutes, after eating 172 spirit fruits, Long Ting finally felt comfortable and touched her flat stomach that had not changed in the slightest. Only then did she stop, as if she had not had enough. If an ordinary cultivator ate so many elixirs so quickly, not to mention a human celestial, even a cultivator at the peak of the later stage of the Earth's celestial stage would explode from the terrifying energy contained in the elixirs. But Long Ting didn't feel any discomfort. and her essence, chi, and true core strength were recovering at an amazing speed. No, I have to refine the first elixir I need while I still have time. It's only fair for him. I can also experience that feeling, see if it's really unbearable. Swoosh. Long Ting directly jumped out of the bathtub. Her graceful and exquisite body that was filled with endless charm and temptation was exposed to the air. She didn't bother to put on her clothes and started to refine elixirs again. The only difference was that the elixirs she used this time were the opposite of the elixirs she refined for Chun Hao, and the guiding elixir was Chun Hao's blood essence. The next day, late at night, Long Ting came to Long Yi's house with a little hesitation, nervousness, and shyness. She restrained her aura to the extreme, like a kitten that came out to steal a fish. She poked her head out and quietly came to the door of Chun Hao's room. In the second world, this girl had confirmed that her brother was immersed in cultivation, but she didn't know whether he could sense her. She could only pray that her brother was in seclusion in the cultivation room and didn't find her. After all, Long Yi didn't know that she and Chun Hao had progressed to that stage. Especially the fact that she had drugged Chun Hao and almost had sex with him, she definitely couldn't let anyone know. After all, Long Yi supported her to date Chun Hao, but it didn't mean that he supported her to fall into a state of eternal damnation before anything happened. The reason why he said this was because of the uniqueness of the Long family. Whether or not Chun Hao would end up with Long Ting in the end was still hard to predict. However, the medicine that Long Ting had drugged him and the medicine that she had concocted now was something that could not be taken back, especially since Long Ting had concocted the medicine that she wanted to take herself. Chi. Long Ting stood at the door and gently sent a stream of energy into Chun Hao's room. Wong. Buzz. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Quick, quick. Why isn't there any reaction yet? Long Ting sent out several streams of energy to shake the restriction on the door, but Chun Hao still didn't respond. This made Long Ting a little impatient, but there was nothing she could do. In the second world, Chun Hao had cut off all communication, so she couldn't contact him at all. Here, Chun Hao was obviously in seclusion in the cultivation room. She had activated the restriction on the door several times, but Chun Hao still didn't respond. Obviously, he was in the cultivation room and had entered a deep level of cultivation. Otherwise, there was no way that she couldn't sense him. This won't do. It seems that I can only activate the restriction on the cultivation room. After waiting for a full 5 minutes, Long Ting, who was afraid that her brother would discover her, could only disturb Chun Hao. Chun Hao, who was surrounded by blue flames, suddenly felt a vibration coming from the door of the cultivation room. It's so late. Is it Brother Long or Sister Ting? Chun Hao thought to himself. He slowly calmed his mind and put away the blaze crystal marrow that he hadn't finished absorbing. He quickly put on his clothes and walked out of the cultivation room. Shoo! When Chun Hao opened the door and saw that it was Long Ting, just as he was about to speak, Long Ting reached out her small hand and covered Chun Hao's mouth. In a flash, she got into the room. At the same time, she quietly and slowly closed the door and activated the restriction on the door. Only then did she exhale and laugh at Chun Hao. Sister Ting, what are you doing sneaking around? Chun Hao looked at the girl and asked with a frown. His intuition told him that this girl must have something to do and that she wanted to avoid Long Yi. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so careful. Brother Hao, let's go to the cultivation room first. Long Ting pulled Chun Hao into the cultivation room. At the same time, she activated the cultivation room's restriction. This girl, Long Ting, didn't know that when she appeared in Long Yi's courtyard, Long Yi had already noticed her, even though Long Yi was in the cultivation room. The reason was very simple. When Long Ting came to talk to him in the second world, she acted very naturally. However, Long Ting, who hadn't appeared in the second world for 100 days, suddenly appeared to look for him. How could it be that nothing happened? She casually asked him a few questions about what he had been doing these days, and then left. This was more or less abnormal. Long Yi didn't think much about it at first. He just thought that his sister was worried about Chun Hao or wanted to see Chun Hao. After all, he knew that his sister couldn't stand loneliness. After returning, Chun-Hao didn't come out of seclusion and cut off all communication in the second world. Not to mention Long Ting. Even he wanted to see how Chun-Hao was doing these days. Therefore, after his sister left, he was about to go out and call his sister to see how Chun-Hao was doing. The pressure of a life and death battle with an expert at the peak of the advanced heavenly immortal stage for 10 years was undoubtedly huge. He was also worried that Chun-Hao would cultivate too crazily under such huge pressure. However, when he was about to go out, he sensed his sister's arrival. After all, this was his courtyard. When he was awake, everything in the courtyard was under his control. When he sensed his sister, he originally thought that she would come look for him and then call Chun-Hao. However, he didn't expect his sister to conceal her aura like a thief and directly go to Chun-Hao's room. This was definitely a secret meeting with her lover. How could Lonnie not know? However, because he knew, he couldn't go out. If he caught his sister at this time, wouldn't it be embarrassing for her? Moreover, as her brother, he couldn't do that. My sister probably won't do anything rash. She probably just wants to see Brother Chun. Yes, I believe Brother Chun won't do anything rash, Lonnie thought to himself. Although he was the owner, he couldn't sense the situation in Chun-Hao's room and cultivation room. Of course, even if he could sense it, he would be too embarrassed to do so. Although the two of them wouldn't do anything rash, if they were a little messy, he couldn't eavesdrop as the brother. Therefore, he could only wait. Brother Hao, you eat this. What? Seeing Long Ting take out a crystal-clear pill that shone with a blood-colored light, and hearing Long Ting's words, Chun-Hao was scared and took 2 steps back. Relying on his senses, Chun-Hao could clearly capture the majestic heaven and earth spirit chi contained in this pill. However, more importantly, this pill clearly contained the aura of Long Ting's blood essence. With the Saint-grade pill, Yin-Yang Nirvana pill, that Guan Yu obtained from him, and Long Ting's previous experience of drugging him, how could Chun-Hao not know the effect of this pill? Don't be afraid. To be fair, I have to eat it too. Look, this was refined with a drop of your blood essence. Long Ting stared at Chun-Hao and took out another blood-colored pill. As she spoke, she was filled with confidence as she placed it into her mouth and swallowed it directly. Big Brother Hao, you should already be clear about the function of this medicinal pill. It's similar to Guan Yu's Yin-Yang rebirth pill. However, ours is the orthodox method, and we need to proceed step by step to temper our respective bodies, souls, mental states, and wills. When we're truly unable to persist any longer, we've already become inner demons that can't be eliminated, and there's no room for improvement. That's when our strengths will undergo a great leap of rebirth along with the fusion. Sister Ting, I've already eaten it. Don't you dare. Long Ting's face had already begun to redden as she stared straight at Chun-Hao. Her small hand held the pill and slowly brought it to Chun-Hao's mouth. I've refined a total of 6 pills for you. After you leave, if you miss me too much, when you miss me to the point that you can't take it anymore, you can eat the 2nd pill. I'll do the same. In 10 years, whether you have the confidence or not, whether you can do it or not, I'll use my own method to help you. If you can do it without my help when you return, you could choose to eat the 7th pill, or you can choose to eat the antidote. At that time, as long as you eat the antidote and force out my blood essence, all right. Without waiting for Long Ting to continue speaking, Chun-Hao swallowed the pill that Long Ting had brought to his mouth. At the same time, he pulled Long Ting in front of him and hugged her slender waist with both hands. He stared at Long Ting and said, "Then let's see whose willpower is stronger." Ha ha ha. Long Ting looked straight at Chun-Hao and laughed happily. However, she had only laughed twice before Chun-Hao covered her tender and alluring lips. Long Ting didn't dodge, but her delicate body trembled and her sudden rapid breathing made Chun-Hao feel that this girl's heart was far from being as barbaric and bold as she appeared on the surface. When Chun-Hao forcefully parted her lips, she even clumsily responded to Chun-Hao. This could be considered her first real kiss. Last time, the accident had ended without much feeling at all. After a long kiss that lasted for a few minutes, Long Ting, who had a special body that absorbed the effects of the pill extremely quickly, began to act up. Her mind felt as if it had exploded, and her entire body became boiling hot. Desire, boundless desire. Her movements with Chun Hao became more vigorous. She, who was originally passive, began to kiss even more wildly than Chun Hao. Her hands even tightened around Chun Hao, as if she couldn't wait to squeeze him into her body. At this moment, if it were an ordinary person, their body would probably have exploded from being squeezed by Long Ting. Although the absorption rate wasn't as fast as Long Ting's, Chun Hao's body still had remnants of the original pill's effects. Now that he had swallowed the real pill, the eruption was naturally even fiercer. Second update. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 622. Oh, no. We can't compete anymore. Long Ting suddenly pushed away Chun Hao, who couldn't help but want to take the next step. If we can't control ourselves, it'll be over. I'm going back, Big Brother Hao. Remember to endure it. Long Ting almost murmured Big Brother Hao. She still maintained a trace of rationality, but no matter if it was her body or her heart, she had already started to endure a kind of torment that she had never experienced before. She knew that this kind of torment was called desire. Similarly, this trace of rationality also allowed Long Ting to tease Chun Hao when she wanted to leave again. Therefore, this Big Brother Hao was truly ecstatic. Little Sister Ting, I can't bear it anymore. There's no need to bear it anymore. Come, let Big Brother. How could Chun Hao, who also maintained a trace of rationality, not understand what Long Ting meant? Seeing that the girl had already opened the door to the cultivation room, Chun Hao also said in a manly and wild manner. However, before he could finish speaking, Long Ting had already covered her head and fled. Her speed was so fast that it was as if she had teleported. Long Yi, who had been waiting anxiously and was afraid that something would happen to his sister and Chun Hao, suddenly saw his sister leave like lightning. He was slightly surprised, but this also allowed him to calm down. From start to finish, it had only been a little over 10 minutes. Roar! Oh! After that, for several hours, Chun Hao and Long Ting sealed themselves in the cultivation room and endured endless torment. Their bodies were burned by lust, and their minds were burned by the flames of desire, whether it was Chun Hao or Long Ting. They were sure that if the other party was still in front of them, they would definitely lose all sense of reason. The boundless spiritual energy of heaven and earth contained within the pill that had the dual effect of tempering the mind and body. As the two of them grew more and more lustful, the circulation became faster and faster, and the tempering of their bodies, souls, states of mind, and wills also became stronger and stronger. Chun Hao didn't know how Long Ting was able to endure it, nor did he know how she was able to endure it. However, he knew that this had almost caused him to break through the limits of his endurance time and time again. His mind was filled with Long Ting's graceful and exquisite body, and all sorts of enchanting and crazy illusions appeared. In order to distract himself, Chun Hao started to refine the blazing crystal marrow. What little bit of obsession and intelligence he had left surprised him to find that the speed of refining his body with the blazing crystal marrow had increased tremendously in this state. Boom, boom, boom. After an unknown period of time, the ferocious medicinal effects of the pill gradually weakened. Chun Hao's mind also became clear. This time, Chun Hao clearly felt that the effects were a few times better than when Long Ting drugged him last time. His body, soul, mental state, and all seemed as if they'd undergone the baptism of the heavens, and they'd obtained an obvious improvement. Strange, the medicinal properties of this pill are clearly not as strong as the spirit fruit formula last time, but the effect is better, Chun Hao thought to himself. The last time Long Ting drugged him, although it had something to do with Long Ting's clothing and other factors, the medicinal effects, namely the aphrodisiac, were indeed stronger. Otherwise, Chun Hao wouldn't have been unable to control himself at all. However, this time, he still maintained a trace of rationality. Of course, this was also related to the fact that Long Ting wasn't by his side, but the overall effect on his cultivation had increased by a level. It should be because the aphrodisiac effect became gentler after being refined into a spiritual medicine, but it also increased the effect of refining the body with the energy of the pill. According to Sister Ting, at this moment, the medicinal effects of the pill are still stored in the body and will erupt intermittently with the passage of time, and the degree will become stronger and stronger, Chunhao speculated. Just now, he was immersed in his imagination and suffering, so he didn't pay attention to the specific process of the spiritual medicine releasing energy in the body. However, he still felt a little bit of the mystery. This definitely wasn't as simple as the medicinal effects of an ordinary spiritual medicine, but contained the runes of a divine ability. Thinking of this, Chunhao picked up the other 5 pills left behind by Long Ting. His powerful soul perception immediately penetrated the jade bottle mark II and began to carefully sense the pills inside. For hours later, Chunhao's eyes blossomed with 2 rays of light. As expected, although this spiritual medicine has been absorbed, it will always exist. Moreover, the runes condensed from Long Ting's blood essence are still circulating in my body, condensing energy once again. Once the energy reaches the original realm of the spiritual medicine, it will erupt again. As the number of times increases, my endurance will become stronger and stronger, and the eruption will also become stronger and stronger. When I reach the point where my body is burning with desire and my soul is burning, there will only be 2 choices. One is to fuse with Long Ting's yin and yang. This way, the blood essence runes Long Ting left in my body will fuse with the blood essence runes I left in her body. Moreover, because the 2 runes have been nourished by me and her for a long time, it will allow us to achieve a fusion of soul and body that is countless times more than ordinary dual cultivation. The effect will naturally be astonishing. The second choice is to swallow the second spiritual medicine. The runes of this spiritual medicine will be developed from the foundation of the first spiritual medicine. It has the effect of suppressing the first spiritual medicine, but it also has a different tempering method from the first spiritual medicine. It is equivalent to starting a new tempering process. It seems to be the 3rd and 4th spiritual medicine. Long Ting said that there is a 7th spiritual medicine, so there will be a total of 9 spiritual medicines. After swallowing 9 spiritual medicines, it will be the yin-yang nirvana pill. 9 yin and 9 yang fusing into one. Yes, it must be like this. However, Guinu's saint-level yin-yang nirvana pill was given to Long Ting alone. It was an aphrodisiac, and it directly caused Long Ting to fall into eternal damnation, losing her sense of self and obeying his orders. As for me and Long Ting, it is an equal contract. If Long Ting knew that she did not say anything, but Chunhao had figured out all the mysteries of her pill refining in just 4 hours, she would definitely be so shocked that her jaw would fall to the ground. It was because Chunhao's speculation based on the mysteries of the blood essence rune in the second pellet was completely correct, including Guinu's sacred-level yin-yang nirvana pellet. His speculation was not wrong at all. This spiritual medicine is good, but unfortunately, it can easily cause people to commit crimes. If Long Ting is not by my side, and I have, although it can't really solve the problem. Chunhao shook his head and said, directly pointing out the drawbacks of this spiritual medicine. It can't be helped. Although the aphrodisiac effect, under the effect of their blood essence, was completely targeted at each other. Lust is lust. Drinking poison to quench thirst is really easy to happen, especially for men, for people like Chunhao who had many Dao companions. Not to mention other things, if Chen Shui and the other girls were here at this moment, under the influence of that kind of desire, Chunhao would care too much? Of course not. However, Chunhao believed that no matter how great his willpower and desire were, it would not be to the point of a Sao turning into Chang. After thinking about it, he threw away this thought, focused his mind, and entered into cultivation again. Huff! In another cultivation room, Long Ting's body was dripping with sweat, and her face was red as she opened her eyes. At this moment, her entire body was as beautiful as a blooming flower, but the aura emitted from her body had become abnormally terrifying. If Chun Hao saw at this moment, he would definitely be incomparably shocked, because this time, Long Ting's body was burning with desire, and the improvement she obtained was far beyond his imagination. It was not at all comparable to his improvement. So strong. Just once, I activated some power again. If I really do it with him, how strong will I be? Long Ting sensed that her body's strength and true essence had increased by at least 30%, and she was surprised, excited, and embarrassed in her heart, especially when she thought of really doing it with Chun Hao. It caused Long Ting to instantly feel unbearably itchy. At the same time, the sticky and wet feeling of discomfort caused Long Ting to feel extremely ashamed, and she directly took off all her clothes before jumping into the bath. Even though the effects of the medicine had already passed, it was much more difficult for Long Ting to calm down compared to Chun Hao. Needless to say, women felt completely different from men in certain aspects. Men came quickly and left quickly. Women might not come slowly, but they would definitely leave slowly. The water in the bath gurgled as it washed her smooth, exquisite, and spotless delicate body. Long Ting's heart was restless for an entire 2 hours, and if she didn't forcefully stop herself from thinking about Chun Hao, she would probably directly cause the effects of the medicine to appear once more. It has already been a month. Motherfucker, this kid is probably really going to hole up in the Long clan and not come out. Yeah, this can't go on. In any case, we are experts at the heaven celestial stage. Motherfucker, what's the point of waiting here every day? How about this? The two of us can take turns to watch over him. Haha, that's exactly what I want. We'll take turns every 10 days. That's settled then. I have something urgent to do. You go first. F***CK. I also have something urgent to do. Motherfucker, he left so quickly. It's easier for me now that this guy is not here. I just have to stay in Xintian City. I'm a heaven celestial. How can I do such a small thing? Let my disciple guard over him. The remaining heaven celestial of the demonic ant planet directly sent out a few messages in the second world. Not long after, 5 experts at the peak of the Earth's celestial stage appeared in front of his real body. This old guy said a few words and then slipped away. As for the 2 heaven celestials of the Happy Valley, they had long since left. However, Bai Huoliao of the Wuji planet was still there. Although these people concealed their auras, they were also spies. Although they didn't show too much, they were always within a certain range, and no one could hide from each other. Therefore, when Bai Huoliao saw that the other party's heaven celestials had left and had become small fries at the Earth celestial stage, Bai Huoliao couldn't help it. Therefore, in just a month, they had all become small fries at the Earth celestial stage. However, Chun Hao didn't care about all this at all. So what if they were experts at the heaven celestial stage? He could leave if he wanted to. At this moment, he was only staying because he had just obtained a great opportunity from the blazing star. He wanted to strike while the iron was hot and go into seclusion to comprehend it. Therefore, after another half a month, which was a full 1.5 months, a total of 450 days in the second world, Chun Hao, who had been immersed in comprehension, finally came out of the state of cultivation. Third update. Today is the third watch. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 6:23. Chun Hao had already comprehended the first 5 levels of the mystic fire divine power law that he had obtained from the blazing flame planet. Due to the restrictions of his own realm, it was extremely difficult to comprehend the 6th level and could not be completed in a short time. He could only put it aside for the time being. As for his physical body, due to Long Ting's elixir and a large amount of supreme-grade flame essence, Chun Hao had already tempered it to his current limit a few days ago. If he wanted to improve further, he could not do it in seclusion. It's time to leave. Turn on communication. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. In the second world, he had been in seclusion for more than a year. As soon as he turned on the communication, he received dozens of messages. Most of them were sent by Long Ting and Long. Chun Hao skimmed through them and did not pay much attention to them. However, the verification messages made Chun Hao frown slightly. Chun Hao had set a hidden mode that refused to be searched. One had to have his number to apply for verification. Acquaintances had already established a good relationship with him. Those who were not familiar with him would not know his number at all. One possibility was that they had obtained his number from a high-level authority in the Alliance. The other possibility was that they had obtained it from someone he was familiar with. Thinking of this, Chun Hao clicked on one of the verification messages. Junior brother Chun Hao, I'm your eldest senior brother, Gu Chun. I got your number from Han, Mate Immortal Venerable. Gu Chun, my eldest senior brother? Chun Hao looked at the verification message and was slightly stunned. Is that eldest senior brother's real name? It should be. Heavenly Venerable Yuanru mentioned Heavenly Venerable Chun Long to me. Beep beep beep. Less than 2 seconds after Chun Hao accepted, he received a communication request. Junior brother Chun Hao, your eldest senior brother? Chun Hao looked at the image that appeared in his mind and asked in surprise. He had thought that it would be the image of an old man, like Heavenly Venerable Yuanru, but this eldest senior brother looked like a middle-aged man with an imposing appearance. Just the image alone exuded a lofty and vast aura. That's right, little junior brother. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Open the door. Open the door. Yes, I'm outside your courtyard. Let's go in first. All right. Chun Hao was slightly surprised. He didn't expect that his eldest senior brother, who was second only to his master, the limitless ancestor, would actually wait for him outside the door instead of knocking. Obviously, he was afraid that he would disturb his cultivation. This made Chun Hao feel slightly apologetic. Although the two had never met, Chun Hao knew that Heavenly Sovereign Yuanru was full of respect for his eldest senior brother when he was with him. Naturally, Chun Hao understood that Heavenly Sovereign Yuanru was not bad in terms of talent or character. But now, this seemingly insignificant matter was enough to prove that. Greetings, senior brother. After Chun Hao quickly opened the gate of the courtyard, he saw the tall and imposing eldest senior brother, Gu Chun. No need to be so courteous. Little junior brother, what are your plans? After entering the courtyard, Gu Chun asked straightforwardly. He looked at Chun Hao with a hint of surprise. Gu Chun had already known from Heavenly Sovereign Yuanru that his junior brother was not simple. Similarly, he was even more surprised after learning about Chun Hao's preliminary test results. But seeing it with his own eyes, even though it was only the second world, he was still more surprised. He, who was at the peak of the advanced stage of the Heaven Celestial stage, could clearly sense the majestic power contained in Chun Hao's body. His essence, qi, and spirit were beyond imagination. Gu Chun was not sure about his combat strength, but he knew that when he was in the same realm as him, he was absolutely inferior to him. Of course, I'm going to cultivate with all my strength. Chun Hao said, I know that. I mean, are you going to go out for experience? I'll go out in 2 days. Good. That's my junior brother. When you go out, let me know in advance. I'll go to the Long family to find you. Gu Chun's eyes flashed with sharpness and admiration. He had already known that Chun Hao had entered the Long family. It was not a secret. Basically, everyone who paid attention to this matter knew that Chun Hao was now holed up in the Long family. If Chun Hao had said that he would continue to cultivate in the Long family, Gu Chun would not have told him the truth, but his impression of Chun Hao would definitely be greatly reduced. He, who had a wild character, despised people without backbone the most. But Chun Hao was obviously not such a person. Senior brother, why are you looking for me? Chun Hao was slightly taken aback. Naturally, I'm going with you. There is never absolute fairness in the cultivation world. Don't be naive to think that they won't take your life after giving you 10 years. That's impossible. Although 10 years is full of challenges for you, and there's basically no hope, if you can get a powerful opportunity, it is not completely hopeless. So, they will definitely not let you cultivate freely. I will follow you secretly and take care of you. Second junior brother. Your second senior brother has already gone to Vast Universe Star. He will help you contact a powerful sect to seek protection. As long as you succeed, no matter what happens 10 years later, You will be able to survive this crisis. Hearing Gu Chen's words, Chen Hao was moved. Chen Hao had never met his eldest senior brother and second senior brother. After he stepped out of the Wuji Star, he didn't even have any basic contact with them. Chen Hao had always thought that they only shared the same master, and there was no affection at all. They were not like heavenly venerable Yuanru, who had been together for a period of time and were familiar with each other and had a brotherly relationship. After all, in the cultivation world, indifference was absolute. This was especially true for those who pursued the peak of the great Tao and had no other distractions. But now, his eldest senior brother and second senior brother, who he had never met and had no contact with, had already begun to run around for him, or rather, for heavenly venerable Yuanru. Chen Hao wanted to tell the truth so that his second senior brother would not waste energy and money, but the information given by the sacred temple was strictly confidential and could not be told to anyone. To be precise, besides him and the girls involved, even heavenly venerable Yuanru only knew a little. They were not clear about the specific situation at all. Therefore, Chen Hao could not say it. Could he tell his eldest senior brother that this was a test from the sacred temple and that it had already eliminated any possibility of him relying on a top sect to solve this matter? What? Little junior brother, what is so difficult about it? You must believe that as long as you do not give up hope, everything is possible. Your second senior brother has already arrived at Vast Universe Star. Although it is a little difficult, there is still hope. Even if there is no hope for him, you must believe that you can succeed. Miracles sometimes appear in front of you, just like the last time you and Yuanru survived the crisis in the chaotic space. At that time, even I did not believe it, but you created a miracle. I believe that this is your destiny. Although 10 years is short, there are infinite possibilities. Thank you for your teachings, senior brother. However, what I mean is that senior brother does not need to follow me to gain experience. Back then in the chaotic space, I had a way to escape and also a way to join forces with senior brother to destroy their aircraft. Eldest senior brother, you should believe that I have the ability to avoid all of them. Tempering is the process of seeking great fortune, and it's also the process of fighting for life and death and seizing one's life from the heavens. If I have senior brother's protection, then the effects will undoubtedly weaken greatly. 10 years is too short. Chen Hao didn't hesitate any longer, and he looked at his eldest senior brother with a bright gaze as he spoke with confidence. Eldest senior brother Gu Chen's appearance was still that of a middle-aged man, which was enough to prove that his current realm was not his final realm. Otherwise, he would definitely have the appearance of an old man, like heavenly venerable Yuanru. Similarly, in this brief exchange, Chen Hao also understood that his eldest senior brother's confidence and arrogance were not inferior to his on Earth. It was probably this belief that allowed him to constantly strive to reach the peak of martial arts. Therefore, Chen Hao did not need to be reserved. If he spoke frankly, he believed that someone like his eldest senior brother would understand. Little junior brother, are you sure? I'm sure. You see, as Chen Hao spoke, his aura suddenly disappeared. He did this to dispel his eldest senior brother's concerns. When he saw his eldest senior brother's slightly surprised expression, Chen Hao's figure reappeared. That's right. However, on the Asianing planet, your whereabouts cannot be a secret as long as it is through the Alliance. Therefore, you must remember not to use any of the Alliance's facilities, teleportation formations, aircraft, or even wealth cards. When you use them, you must consider the possibility of your whereabouts being exposed. Do you understand? Yes. Understand. Eldest senior brother, the current situation on the Wuji planet. Chen Hao finally voiced his concerns. It's fine. They're just clowns. Although they control the Wuji planet, with your second senior brother and I around, they won't dare to go too far. To tell you the truth, I recently obtained a great opportunity. Within 10 years, I have a chance to break through to the Daluo Jinxian level. Moreover, my strength is definitely not that of an ordinary golden immortal. I'd like to see who dares to do anything to the Wuji planet. Moreover, I believe that Master will return successfully. As long as you can survive the crisis in 10 years, the Wuji planet will be safe from any trouble. If you can't, the Wuji planet will be fine in the short term, but in 1,000 or 10,000 years, I'm afraid. Afraid what? Chunhao was slightly surprised to hear his eldest senior brother's words. It won't be a big problem. It'll just be internal strife. Guan Nanchao's granddaughter, Bailey Ningbing, is extremely talented. She's not much weaker than you, youngest junior brother. Moreover, she's been accepted as a disciple by the Everlasting Sect, the fourth-ranked sect in the vast universe galaxy. Her future achievements will be very high. She has a deep grudge against you, right? Probably. That woman is just a bitch. Don't worry, eldest senior brother, I won't give her a chance. Although Chunhao was surprised by Bailey Ningbing's performance, he didn't take it to heart. This was on a completely different level from the battle to the death in 10 years. Comparing development? Comparing future prospects? If Chunhao had been able to trample her underfoot before, he would naturally be able to do so in the future. His biggest crisis now was the battle to the death in 10 years. Bailey Ningbing's threat would last for 1,000 or 10,000 years. Compared to these 10 years, it was nothing. Why would Chunhao care? First update. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 6:24. Brother Chunhao in the second world. After receiving Chunhao's message, Long Yi and Long Ting's real bodies quickly walked out of the cultivation room and came to Chunhao, who was already waiting for them at the door. Are you leaving now? I'm afraid there are still many people watching. Long Yi said. It's all right. It's about time. Chunhao said, Brother Long, I won't be going to the second world that you told me about last time. You're not going to enter the second world? It's going to start in a month. That's the second world's secret realm trial. It's a rare opportunity. You'll definitely gain a lot if you go in. That's the hidden condition for you to activate it. It's mainly for you. Although I can gain a lot if I go in, it's very limited. In these 10 years, I want to quietly cultivate according to my own ideas. I'll still enter the second world. If you have anything, just send me a message. Chunhao said. When he took the first test, Long Yi had invited him, and he had agreed. But now, Chunhao had changed his mind. 10 years in the second world, he didn't have much time to waste on unknown secret realms. Moreover, that wasn't the condition for him to activate it. All right, then you talk to your sister. I won't send you off. Take care. Long Yi looked at his sister's hesitant look and understood. After he finished speaking, he turned and walked towards his room. Long Ting wasn't reserved at all. She directly grabbed Chunhao's hand and walked towards her courtyard. When they reached the cultivation room, she hugged Chunhao, Sister Ting. Without saying a single word, she took the initiative to give him such a passionate hug. Chunhao could naturally feel Long Ting's reluctance to part, especially under the effects of the miraculous spirit medicine. Although the two of them had not truly merged, whether it was in body or heart, they both had a kind of desire that was hidden deep in their hearts. This feeling was very strong. At the very least, the Chunhao of the past had never appeared in front of the girls. This wasn't to say that the girls weren't as important to him as Long Ting, but it was because he had deliberately used the spirit medicine to bring them here. This was a kind of thing that could infinitely magnify one's feelings, not to mention that both of them were interested in each other. Even if they were not interested in each other, they would become interested in each other. Long Ting raised her beautiful face and stared at Chunhao. Soon after, she slowly closed her eyes, tiptoed, and her eyelashes trembled. She took the initiative and passionately kissed Chunhao. This is my first time being kissed, facing the clumsy Long Ting. Chunhao suppressed his excitement from being teased and gently pressed himself against Long Ting. He guided her smooth, soft, and hot tongue from gentle to fierce. This went on for a few minutes. When both of them felt that they could no longer continue, they abruptly separated. Brother Hao, I want you to tell me where you intend to go. Also, no matter when you enter the second world, you have to give me a message. Ahem. Sister Ting, I'll definitely give you a message. As for where I'm going, even I don't know now. You don't have a goal at all? Long Ting asked. She was very clear that once Chun Hao left, it would be 10 years. Moreover, after leaving, unless they met in person, if they used communication methods in the second world, their whereabouts would be exposed. Regarding the second world, she was clear about the authority that the Alliance had. So she could only ask now. Not entirely. If possible, I'll go to Vast Universe Star. Chun Hao said. Vast Universe Star. That's good. Then after I trigger the heavenly punishment, I'll go to Vast Universe Star and wait for you. I'm afraid that 10 years is too long. 6 pills won't be enough. I need to advance to the Earth celestial stage in order to have the ability to refine pills, but now it's too late. Long Ting said, my brother has also decided to trigger the heavenly punishment after completing the hidden mission in the second world. At that time, we'll go to Vast Universe Star together. It's just that, I don't know if we can enter the Divine Temple. I'll send you a message when the time comes. Chun Hao replied. You don't have to rush to enter Vast Universe Star. At least for a few years, I'll be fine. Chun Hao also understood the situation of Vast Universe Star a little bit. Disciples like Long Yi and Long Ting, who had strong background, were generally not in a hurry to join the top sects in the Vast Universe Star system. Instead, when their conditions were at their best, they would directly rush to the highest palace of the human race, the Divine Temple. The reason was simple. After joining a top sect, the restrictions to enter the Divine Temple would be higher. Moreover, they had strong backgrounds to support them, so there was no need for them to join a top sect in advance. This was because their family background was enough to support them before they reached the heavenly celestial stage. Even if they entered a top sect, the cultivation environment would not improve much, so why increase the difficulty of rushing to the Divine Temple out of thin air? Of course, if their talents were already enough to attract the attention of a top sect, and they were offered an olive branch in advance, it would be a different story. However, Long Ting and Guan Nu were exceptions. This was because Long Ting had not taken the test until now. Moreover, the goal set by the Long family for her was directly targeted at the Divine Temple. Guan Nu, on the other hand, had the support of a master from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm and was also targeted at the Divine Temple. As for Long Yi, in fact, although he had the title of Invincible Immortal on the Asianing planet and was also an extremely dazzling figure, he was relatively ordinary in the Vast Universe Star system. If one wanted to rush to the Divine Temple, one had to have enough accumulation. When one's realm and talent were matched to the best state, it was precisely because of this that Chun Hao had said that Long Ting and Long Yi did not need to rush to enter the Vast Universe Star. After all, if they triggered the heavenly punishment and stepped into the Earth Immortal stage, they would certainly need a period of adaptation and experience before they could adjust their state to the best state. This was not something that could be achieved in a few days or a few months. Well, Brother Hao, these are the things that my brother and I have prepared for you. Long Ting took out 2 supreme-grade spirit artifact storage rings and handed them to Chun Hao. What are these? You don't lack equipment or magic treasures. What my brother has prepared for you is a large number of celestial core crystals. You have to go out to experience the world, and the wealth card will not be used most of the time. Moreover, you have to be wary of the Alliance. What I have prepared for you is spiritual medicine, spiritual fruit, wine, and other food and drinks, but you don't have to use supreme-grade spirit artifact storage rings, do you? Chun Hao said. There are also some mineral veins that you may need. Long Ting explained. Okay. Chun Hao took the storage rings from Long Ting and directly put them into the space of mind. Long Ting and Long Yi were not Shimen Feng, so he had no reason to not accept them. Moreover, at this time, when he saw Long Ting doing this, Chun Hao suddenly realized that he had forgotten to give Long Ting and Long Yi something that they might need. He said, Sister Ting, the spiritual medicine that you bathe in every day, if you change it to supreme-grade spirit spring water, will the effect be better? Supreme-grade spirit spring water? Of course that's better. What's the matter? Long Ting was a little puzzled that Chun Hao had asked this question at this time. Okay, I'll give you something. After Chun Hao finished speaking, The supreme-grade spirit artifact storage ring that Long Ting had just given to Chun Hao appeared in his mind again. He said, "You can keep it. It's supreme-grade spirit spring water and some middle-grade origin stones. I'll put it in for you." Oh, Long Ting was not surprised that Chun Hao had supreme-grade spirit spring water. After all, Chun Hao could even refine a miniature flying device, so he was definitely an expert in refining weapons. It was only natural that he had some supreme-grade spirit spring water. "I'm leaving." Chun Hao stared at Long Ting and said. After speaking, he decisively turned around and was about to leave. "Wait." Long Ting hugged Chun Hao and said, "Let's do it again." When the passion was strong, Chun Hao's figure directly disappeared in front of Long Ting, a faint fragrance lingering at the corner of his mouth. Faced with the fiery passion of Long Ting, although Chun Hao knew that it was definitely due to the effects of the medicine, he had to admit that he liked it very much. But ultimately, if he had to leave, he could only be decisive. Hiss! Like a gust of wind floating in the void, Chun Hao, who was gradually moving further and further away, turned back to look at the majestic manner of the Long family. Unfortunately, he, who already had the freedom to enter the Long family manor, could not see Long Ting standing in the courtyard, staring blankly into the void, as if she had lost her soul. At this moment, Chun Hao seemed to have returned to the state of mind when he first left the Shao family. The only difference was that this time, there was no one to send him off. It was not that they did not want to send him off, but that they could not. He originally wanted to leave quietly, so Long Ting and Long Ying naturally could not appear. Furthermore, at this time, Chun Hao did not dare to tear apart the void. Only in the state of being one with the world, he could first leave Xintian City. Brother, after standing in a daze for more than 10 minutes, Long Ting sorted out the feelings that made her feel disorderly, and also because it was the first time she had fallen in love with someone, and came to Long Yi's courtyard. As he left, Long Yi looked at his sister who had already grown up and said softly, "He will be fine, and I believe, brother." He didn't take it. Long Yi saw Long Ting suddenly take out 2 storage rings and frowned slightly. "No, I took it. It's just that he also gave us some things and put them inside. It's a supreme grade spirit spring and a middle grade origin stone." Long Ting said, "The supreme grade spirit spring belongs to me. I'll take out the origin stone you need." Ah. As Long Ting spoke, her mind merged into one of the spiritual treasure storage rings. However, she immediately cried out in shock and widened her eyes. "Sister, what's wrong? How can it be? Power." Long Ting's mind merged into another storage ring, and she screamed again. "Sister, what's wrong?" Long Yi looked at Long Ting in confusion and asked again. Long Ting looked at Long Yi in shock and said, "Hey, brother, see for yourself." Long Ting was truly shocked. She directly handed the 2 storage rings to Long Yi. When Long Yi's divine sense merged into it to investigate, he also widened his eyes in shock and instantly understood why his sister was shocked. Second update. In the future, it will be stable with 2 updates and occasional outbursts. I won't do stupid things like not saving a draft or making promises anymore, lest I get scolded. Writing isn't typing, it's mental work. It depends on your state of mind. You need passion, you need ideas, you need to rack your brains to think. There are many situations where you get stuck. I promised that this month would be the craziest month in Wushan, but I didn't say that it would happen every day. But the power outage and the outbursts, if I didn't update enough, there would be a lot of scolding. What about when I kept on outbursts? There were free recommendation tickets every day, but there were only 100 or so per day. 8 of them were from me, so there were more than 10 votes in total, right? This is the result of continuous outbursts. The subscriptions didn't increase, but decreased. I used 100% of my energy and tried my best to increase the results, and this is the result. I want to say that I am not disappointed, but that is too hypocritical. I am complaining. This month's promise still counts. At least 2 updates, there will be outbursts, and at the end of the month, there will definitely be more than 100 chapters, more than 300,000 words, and an average of more than 10,000 words per day. The outburst time is uncertain. I will save the chapters first. I don't want something I can't resist to happen again and get scolded. Thank you to all the brothers who supported Wushan. Wushan saw all the monthly votes and rewards. Thank you to all the brothers who silently supported Wushan. You can see the fan list with one glance. It's just that we are too small and can't get up there. You all did your best, and many of the tickets are full. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to Conceited. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 625. When Shunhao had said that he would give her supreme-grade spirit spring water and mid-grade origin stones, Long Ting hadn't paid much attention to it. After all, Shunhao was about to leave, and she wasn't in the mood to care about such things. Although supreme-grade spirit spring water was very precious, and origin stones were hard to come by, she could still get her hands on them. Although the Long family was not as wealthy as the 5 major families of the Ying planet, Long, Ting, and Long, you were the only 2 young members of the Long family. Basically, all the money was spent on the 2 of them, or more accurately, Long Ting. How could the direct descendants of the other families compare to this treatment? However, Long Ting hadn't expected that the supreme-grade spirit spring water chun How would give her would fill 2 supreme-grade spirit treasure storage rings. A supreme-grade spirit treasure storage ring was 1,000 meters in length, width, and height. Back then, 100 cubic meters had been auctioned off for 8 million immortal core crystals. This was 1,000 cubic meters, which was 1 billion cubic meters. How much was it worth? 80 billion immortal core crystals. Of course, the old man who had bought the supreme-grade spirit spring water back then had taken a fancy to the unnatural supreme-grade spirit spring water, so he had paid twice its actual value. Even so, the spirit spring water in each storage ring was worth a staggering 40 billion immortal core crystals. Combined, the 2 rings were worth 80 billion immortal core crystals. This is too valuable. Sister, how could you accept it? Long E asked Long Ting, drawing a sharp breath and recovering from his shock. Brother, I didn't know that much. I just checked. Long Ting said. This spirit spring has the same aura as the spirit spring water from the last auction. It seems to be the same. Could it be that the seller was... it must be... He told me that the flying device was refined in a hurry before entering the Blaze planet. Besides, didn't he say that he was busy and wouldn't come to our house? Long Ting said in surprise. Yes, it should be. But why does Brother Chin have so much? And he's giving it back to you. Long he couldn't imagine how much supreme-grade spirit spring water would be worth. After all, there was only so much supreme-grade spirit spring water at the last auction, and it had been sold for a sky-high price. How much would it be worth? He. Brother, don't think so much. Didn't they say that friendship is priceless? This is Brother Hao's affection for me. It's hard to refuse such kindness, so I must accept it. In the future, the potions I use to bathe in can all be changed to the best quality spirit spring. Long Ting suddenly smiled proudly and said, Ahem, little sister, do you know how much this is worth? I'm afraid that if we gather all the wealth of our Long family, we'll barely be able to buy it. So what? Friendship is priceless. Long Ting straightforwardly said, Brother, take out all the source stones that are suitable for you. As for this supreme grade spirit spring, if you want to use it, just ask me. All right, that little sister, give me some of your spirit spring as well for emergency use. Not too much, just 1,000 cubic meters, Brother, why do you need so much? 10 cubic meters would be enough for an emergency. I'll give you 100 cubic meters. You can't sell it. This is Brother Hao's love for me. Cough, cough. All right, 100 is. If Long Ting didn't say it, Long E really did have the intention to sell it. Of course, he didn't sell it for immortal essence crystals, but to exchange it for something he needed. He did not lack immortal essence crystals. Truly good things could not be bought with immortal essence crystals. The Chunhao who had merged with all things in the world, flying in the air, already knew that Long Ting and Long Yi would be shocked. The value of so much supreme grade spirit spring, he naturally knew better. But this, to the people he approved of, was nothing. Just like what Long Ting had said, there were some things that could not be measured by price. Moreover, this supreme grade spirit spring, to Chun Hao, was indeed nothing. What he gave Long Ting was not even 1,000th of what he had. Furthermore, this could be regenerated. Even if he only had a little left, the old god, this abnormal fellow, as long as there was enough time, he could turn it into a vast ocean, of course. This also depended on the space in Chun Hao's mind being large enough. Hiss. Chun Hao's speed became faster and faster. The greatest disadvantage of the heart mantra of merging with all things in the world was that he could not use his true yuan and mind power, and would lose the protection of his true yuan. But the greatest advantage was that it did not affect his flying speed at all. And Chun Hao believed that, as his understanding of merging with all things in the world deepened, his flying speed would become faster and faster. This feeling was like capturing the life pulse of the void. Once he completely comprehended the ever-changing void, or if his mind could keep up with the speed of the void's life trajectory, it would be possible for him to teleport instantly. The greater the range he could capture in an instant, the further he could teleport. In one thought, tens of thousands of miles. This was not a fantasy. Unfortunately, Chun Hao's current understanding speed was just that little. To achieve instant greater teleportation was not something he could achieve right now. Not daring to use the teleportation formation, Chun Hao could only fly. During this month, Chun Hao had been completely immersed in cultivation and comprehension, but he had done his best to prepare for leaving the Yang planet alone without the help of the Alliance. The task given to Little Wisdom number 1 was to analyze the signals, materials, and everything that could be explained by science when the Soul Helmet was operating. Of course, this included everything that could be deduced and analyzed after Chun Hao had processed the laws of the divine arts, runes, and other data and instilled them into Little Wisdom number 1. However, Little Wisdom number 1 was only executing the program's orders. Naturally, it could not comprehend divine sense laws and runes. To put it simply, Chun Hao had refined all the runes he had comprehended into individual units and formed a special code. As long as Little Wisdom number 1 saw this code, it would know what kind of basic rune it represented and what effect it would have when combined with other basic unit runes. That was all. In fact, this was the main reason why Chun Hao's comprehension of runes was so abnormal. Knowing the cause and effect, he also knew the cause and effect. Any complex rune was composed of some basic unit runes. Chun Hao did not know how other people comprehended runes, but due to the influence of his previous life, he was used to abstracting divine sense laws and runes, turning them into units and data. Chun Hao believed that if he could master all the basic unit runes, then no matter how complex a rune was, as long as he had enough time, he would be able to comprehend it by analyzing it. Unless the mysteries and divine sense laws contained within the rune exceeded his level by too much. In other words, if he could not comprehend even the most basic unit runes, then it would be impossible for him to comprehend them. The spiritual helmet is made by the headquarters of the vast Universe Galaxy Alliance. Even the Asianing Star Alliance is unable to make it or decipher it. As long as I can decipher it and find a loophole, I will be able to completely conceal myself and enter the second world with a new identity. At that time, who will be able to find me through the spiritual helmet? Chun Hao knew very well that the high-level authority of the Alliance would definitely be able to determine his location through the spiritual helmet. Even though this wasn't the technology of Earth and was basically based on the laws of divine abilities, the basic theory remained unchanged. Just like how a person who used a cell phone could quickly locate the user's location through the cell phone signal, the spirit helmets similarly received signals from the second world before they could enter. How could it not be able to locate him? The same principle applied to one-on-one communication runes. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 6:26. But what I need to worry about is the supreme being who really controls the second world, Chun Hao thought to himself. The second world was like a simulation game on Earth, but it was a little different. If it was really a game, it would be much easier. Unfortunately, the second world was created by the most powerful person in the vast universe galaxy. That was to say, the one who really controlled the second world was the supreme being. It could be said that the person who controlled the second world was the creator of the second world. I hope it's not that strict. Otherwise, I'll have to use money. This was the only way, and also the most direct way. Although Chun Hao had never done it before, he was certain that even in the cultivation world where martial arts were respected, there were still things where money could make the world go round. As long as he was willing to spend money, he could buy a fake identity and a spiritual helmet. However, Chun Hao did not want to do that, not because he was reluctant to spend money. Celestial core crystals were just numbers to him, and he could just sell the best spiritual spring. However, Chun Hao was only a cultivator in the human celestial stage. After stepping out of the Yang star in the vast star area, he had no acquaintances or connections. It would not be easy for him to find a way. The most important thing was that even if he found a way, he still had to worry about being treated as a fat sheep. A man's wealth was his own ruin. If he, a master in the human celestial stage, exposed his wealth, once the other party became greedy, he would not be able to bear it. After all, the person who could sell the spiritual helmet was definitely a high-level member of a planet or a big force, who was at least in the heaven celestial stage. Chi. Beep, beep, beep. Master, the cracking has been completed. If Master can understand its mystery, the theoretical success rate is 100%. So high? Very good. Show me the result report. Yes. Following Xiaoji number 1's voice, dense text, data, and patterns appeared on the huge display screen. The detailed structure of the spiritual helmet, the function of the rune combination unit, and so on were presented to Chun Hao in detail. Perhaps only Chun Hao could understand this kind of report. Good. Very good. The analysis is very correct. Chun Hao immersed himself in the analysis and praised it from time to time. Apparently, he was very satisfied with Small Wisdom 1's analysis. It had to be said that although Little Wisdom number 1 was personally refined by him, and the knowledge and theories that were instilled in it were also from him, and could not surpass him, its powerful calculation ability and strictness were definitely not inferior to Chun Hao's. In fact, the conclusion that Chun Hao personally came up with would not be much better than Little Wisdom number 1, and the time spent would definitely be much longer than Little Wisdom number 1. Since Guan and my soul helmet have such similarities, it is indeed possible that I only need to change the basic combination of runes to receive signals from the second world. It's a pity that I don't have enough samples. It would be great if I could collect the soul helmets of the 20 men of sacrifice I killed. However, I'm from the Wuji planet, and Guan is from the Yang planet. The basic rune units that compose the signals should be the same, so it shouldn't be a problem. Let's try it first. Chi. Chun Hao directly urged his energy and took Guan spirit helmet that was provided by Edo Ta into his mind. Old God, become one with my mind. Okay. Old God replied. Now, Old God basically did not take the initiative to give any suggestions to Chun Hao. Unless Chun Hao asked, he would let nature take its course. Of course, the reason for this was that he did not think that Chun Hao's crisis was serious. To be precise, in his opinion, this kind of crisis with a deadline was not a crisis at all for Chun Hao. Similarly, there was another point that Chun Hao's current path and direction of cultivation were completely different from any of the previous masters. If he were to criticize Chun Hao, it might actually have a negative impact on Chun Hao. There are a total of 10 basic unit runes for receiving signals, corresponding to the numbers 0 to 9, a total of 100 digits. That's 9. 99 cycles multiplied by 10 to the power of 100 communication channels. This number is really huge. I'm afraid that even after billions of years, the number of cultivators in the vast universe galaxy will not be so many. If I want to modify it, I only need to comprehend the last 20 digits of Guan and my spirit helmet's order. It shouldn't be too difficult. After Chun Hao's mind was completely immersed in it, it took him a full 10 hours to completely understand the terrifying level of runes in the signal receiving area of the spirit helmet. This was only the number of runes counted, which was completely consistent with Little Wisdom One's analysis. If Chun Hao wanted to understand the mysteries contained in each basic unit rune in a short time, it would take a lot of time. Fortunately, the combinations of the basic unit runes, only the last 20 runes of Chun Hao and Guan Nu's spirit helmet, did not match. According to Little Wisdom 1 and Chun Hao's speculations, the number of combinations of the last 20 runes in the spirit helmet receiving channel that the Asianing planet obtained from the headquarters of the vast Universe Galaxy Alliance should be incomparably huge. Chun Hao did not need to calculate at all to be sure that even if all the golden elixir cultivators on the Asianing planet had spirit helmets, they would not be able to use up all 20 channels of the 10 basic unit runes. Master, you're wrong. Old God, who was one with his mind, could sense Chun Hao's thoughts and could not help but remind him. What do you mean? Although these are only 10 basic runes, and you can comprehend each of them individually, when they are combined into one with your current realm, I'm afraid it will take more than a year or two, or even a decade or a century for you to decipher and modify them, unless you first ascend to the realm beyond Homing's supremacy. Are you kidding me? This spirit helmet is only at the spiritual treasure level. Chun Hao paused in the middle of his sentence. After a slight pause, he said, "It seems that I've been too naive. It's true that the spirit helmet is only at the spiritual treasure level, but if it could be deciphered and refined so easily, not to mention other planets, even the Wuji planet would not lack spirit helmets. What's more, we have to prevent foreign races from infiltrating. That's right. However, Master, the mysteries of this spirit helmet should be a good way for you to practice when you ascend to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. The order of 100 combinations of the 10 runes definitely contains the truth of heaven and earth and the origin of the great Tao. If I'm not mistaken, the mystery of the runes in the spirit helmet must have been integrated by the creator of the second world." Old God said, I'll try. Hiss, hiss, hiss." Chun Hao immediately sent out his divine sense, wanting to integrate it into the runes. However, as Old God expected, the seemingly simple runes blocked Chun Hao's divine sense when combined. Chun Hao had no problem forcibly destroying them because they did not contain much energy. However, if he wanted to explore and comprehend the mysteries within, he would not be able to do so. His divine sense could not find any entry point at all. To Chun Hao, this was a rune combination that was so perfect that there was nothing he could find fault with. It was also far beyond the scope of what Chun Hao could comprehend in his own realm. Phew! Chun Hao shook his head helplessly. In theory, the success rate is 100%. Unfortunately, I can't meet the requirements. However, if I have many spirit helmets, I can destroy their perfect state and comprehend them in advance by splitting them up. Old God, don't you think so? That's possible. After the perfect combination of 100 runes is destroyed, there will be fewer combinations. Naturally, it will be much simpler. It seems that I can only go to Vast Universe Star first. At present, the most important thing for me is to completely consolidate the realm of the human celestial. I must enter the second world. Old God, what about you? Chun Hao made a decision. Originally, he planned to go to the depths of the chaotic space and find a star fragment to cultivate if he could crack the modification of the spirit helmet. With his body's special characteristics, the chaotic space was definitely a paradise for his real body to cultivate. It was absolutely a perfect way to combine it with the second world to hone his human celestial combat skills. However, now that he could not modify the spirit helmet, it directly shattered Chun Hao's beautiful dream. Master, are you sure? If you are discovered, then just be careful. We're not going to take the main path. Don't use your full strength. It should not be a problem. Otherwise, my flying device will take a year to reach Vast Universe Star. I can't afford to waste it. Okay, then. You can put away the flying device first. Chi. Hiss. When Shunhao stepped out of the miniature flying device and put it away, a bright light shone from between his eyebrows. Immediately, a sphere with a diameter of 30 feet appeared in front of Shunhao. At this moment, even Shunhao was stunned by the ancient aura that suddenly bloomed from the sphere. As early as last time, when the people of Shiman clan had intercepted and killed them in the chaotic space, that is, when Shunhao and Old God were racing against time to collect materials from that black star fragment, Old God had told Shunhao that after he and Shunhao had fused further, he now had the ability to travel the starry sky with Shunhao. However, unless it was a last resort, Old God did not want Shunhao to use it. Shunhao did not dare to use it. After all, if the aura of the ancient spirit treasure was discovered by the masters, it would definitely cause a fight. With Shunhao's current strength, it was impossible for him to keep it. Master, come in quickly. Old God sensed Shunhao's surprise and hurriedly reminded him. Okay. Shunhao turned around, turned into a stream of light, and entered the sphere. Master, I am now restricted by your realm and the degree of our integration. My defense is not much stronger than your flying device, but my concealment ability is 3 times stronger, and my speed is 5 times faster. The biggest advantage is that I can completely apply the aura of the chaotic space to your body. When you fly, it will be as if your physical body is in the chaotic space. That's great. Apply it on me. I'll cultivate and travel at the same time. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.